Okay, how's everybody doing today? You know what I noticed? We haven't been playing the ads, the Sir Darren's fake ads at the beginning. We need to make sure to start doing that again, because people coming in, people finding the stream. It's good to have some entertaining, ironic, fake ads for a non-existent product based on your favorite podcast. Gotta give it to the people. Gotta give the people what they want. And as we've learned over the years, what the people want is advertisements. They crave it. It reaches deep inside and triggers some sort of primal desire for commerce and retail, to affirm one's own existence with the trading of currency for goods and services. If anything can truly make you feel alive today in America, it's making a purchase with your fiat dollars. It's spiritual in a way. It's spiritual in every way. And some deep, dark part of all of us just wants to get advertised to. So then we are left with a choice. Do we respond? Do we give in? Do we feel the pleasure of handing over control of our own destiny to the marketers, the magicians, the brainwashed technicians? It feels good sometimes. It feels good to just be told what to do and how we can fix our lives with fake products advertised at the beginning of the show. So we'll make sure to add that. Hey, everybody. We're going to get the show started. The text message is out. The email is out. canarycry.tube. We gained about 2% over the weekend. That's great. That's good progress. A reminder for everybody. Hey, here's the thing. Go cancel your Netflix. Take that. I just looked at Netflix prices. I had no idea. It's like $22 to get the Netflix that doesn't advertise to you. That's $22. That could be put, instead of monthly, going to the corporate overlords for the pleasure of getting brainwashed by the mainstream narrative crafters. That could go to the value for value model. Become part of something bigger. Go to canarycry.tube. Make sure to hit that monthly donation button. Make it a monthly thing. And we will put you on the list to be in the Age of Deceit 4 focus group. And you can finally make yourself heard. But you're going to have to let go of the desire to be advertised to. We don't do that here. Remember, you can text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. That's Canary to 877-740-3226. You'll get put on the text message alert system. Hundreds of people around the world just received a text message from me. I can read your responses. I cannot carry on a conversation, but it's a fun thing to do. All right, everybody, let's get this show on the road.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is February 19th, 2024. We are live to tape on episode 716. And today, RANTARCTICA. And RANTARCTICA so far away, Guns. Razzle dazzle. What am I saying? Oh, signing on from off the grid, razzle dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil. And you, of course, dear listener, are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, director of the Age of Deceit Films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from California to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious. Repeating that too. With a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomena, eschatological.
Wow.
Yeah.
Eschatological.
I know, so many layers.
Is that family friendly to explain that to me?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we're talking about Antarctica. It's a big part of the show today, which is a topic we've been covering for a long time, and it's eschatological.
There it
So
is.
it's sort of the fun play on words, eschatological.
There was kind of another word hidden in there that I think, we needed some what's the word? I don't know. Some precise,
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Precise explanation.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Here we are, folks. We're happy to be here. It's Monday. This is very exciting. I got distracted. What I got distracted of many times now here in the first 60 seconds of the show was Martine's T over on Twitch says we need just our own app, own streaming platform. I think for 500 live, we can spin our own cheap YouTube-like service with regards to quality. Yes, that is. Thank you for bringing that, Martine's Tea, because that is part of the plan for canarycry.tube. Go to canarycry.tube. We are reclaiming our streaming sovereignty. We are building out the infrastructure to not rely on any streaming platform that may wish to silence us or ban us or just be mean to us in any particular way. That is part of the plan at canarycry.tube. So, like we said, it will take at least a few hundred people going to canarycry.tube and signing up to support that project on a monthly basis. And remember, it's multi-pronged attack here. You are canceling a streaming service, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. Look, I know a lot of people have been doing it, but there's some people out there, they know they should cancel something. They're not doing it. They think, well, it doesn't matter if I give my $20. I don't care that they make fun of everything that I believe in and hate me and want me to go into some sort of Guantanamo Bay re-education camp like Hillary Clinton suggested. I need my Hulu. Well, go cancel it. It's a very powerful spiritual act. Take your money out of the hands of those who wish to hurt you and join something at the ground level. Become an essential part over at canarycry.tube. And make sure to hit that monthly button because it's going to take ongoing resources to keep it going. But that is the plan. We're going to get our own space, going to get our own digital atmosphere, folks. We are moving out of the age of centralized video procurement. That's right. So
come out for my people. So we're going to do it in the digital thing. So
Baby Sheep over on Rumble says, I have nothing left to cancel. Oh, Baby Sheep, you have tasted true freedom. Good job on that. Hopefully you went over to Canary.
Oh, speaking of, I don't know when to talk about this per se. I wasn't going to bring it up, but the shareholders of Rumble, interesting list. I'll just say that. We might have to have our own disclaimer to address
I mean, it's the ones you'd expect, folks. It's the same exact people that own everything in the world. I will say there's a couple people here saying they have nothing left to cancel. Somebody said, I'm not subscribed to anything. You can watch every movie in existence for free. And I agree with you. You can also watch every piece of Canary Cry News Talk material for free, plus CCR, plus Ravel, plus everything we've ever done. It's all free. The difference is stealing that stuff from Netflix. They've got a whole big evil plan. We are notably devoid of some sort of big evil plan to benefit from giving stuff away for free. So it is up to every one of us here on the value for value model. Okay, enough with that pitch, Gons. We got a show to get to. Let's hit that disclaimer just for old time's sake, I guess.
Yeah. Well, again, we're going to have to shift it up, but here we go. Oh, where's the music? There we go.
No.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up.
YouTube. That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by other departments Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys.
That's right. Let me give you a rundown, baby.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Well, folks, we have a Canarian on the inside. Not exactly who, not exactly where, but we have received the loudest shout out from any sort of mainstream infiltrator that we've ever had. I don't know if they're with Pfizer or with the Super Bowl or who they are, but we got a shout out in a Super Bowl commercial. Everybody's going to want to check that out. Then we'll be checking in with World War III, Antarctica at the top of the show, Iran claiming their rightful place as emperors of Antarctica. Antarctica, of course, the New World Order messaging continent. What happens there happens everywhere. We'll see what that means for the future of the Third World War. Then we're checking in with Flippy. Tally me bananas, Flippy. Taking over some classic jobs that will certainly gets a song stuck in everybody's head. Then we're checking in with Hairy Legs Biden, old Uncle Joe. Apparently Uncle Joe has a long history, his ancestry, of getting away with crimes thanks to the power of the presidency. It's in his blood, folks. You cannot blame him. It is how he was created, to get away with literally anything he wants with the power of his friends in politics. We'll be talking about Moses J. Robinet, who is Joe Biden's great-great-grandfather. Then a wonderful display of awakening going on over at The Atlantic, whether or not they meant to do this. The Atlantic parroting right-wing extremist talking points about the benefits of marriage and how the elites are participating in some broad social engineering campaign, but not partaking in the progress themselves. Then at the end of the show, CERN's Future Collider would be an engineer's dream job. Kids, listen up. If you want to open up portals to alternate dimensions, start studying now, because there's a job waiting for you in the near future. But first, guns, our lead stories.
Mind control weapons.
WACCINE.
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 Vaccination.
Vaccine, number one way.
Number one way.
Yep.
So this was fun. I want to shout out to Sir Ike, who sent this to us. He sent it to us last week, and we just kind of missed it for a second there. But at the big game, of course, everybody knows that it's more than just a game. It's propaganda, extravaganza, social engineering, experiment, occult, elite messaging platform, the ritual of the year for those steeped in the esoteric underpinnings of our culture, and Super Bowl advertisements being a huge part of this. Obviously, I don't need to convince anybody about the importance of Super Bowl commercials. It is a hilarious refrain from uncles all around the country that they only watch the Super Bowl for the commercials. And
yeah. I was just going to say, it really has become part of the cultural milieu to watch the Super Bowl for commercials. That was not always a thing. I mean, people are born into it now, but that was something that rose to be in our lifetimes.
It's been, yes, it's the purview of people who are not sports ball people, but want to feel included in the big day, as you get really enthusiastic about the Super Bowl commercials. History-making commercials debuting every year at the Super Bowl. And this year, of course, lots of stirred up emotions about the Jesus commercial and this other commercial. It's a whole thing, which of course is part of the ritual. We know that. We know this. And if you're new to the show, you will know it. And it's happened occasionally. Look, I'll be the first to admit, occasionally we might feel like Gons and I are being receiving a hat tip from somebody in the mainstream. Of course, Chris Shilzilla constantly,
I think
communicating.
he has me muted, by the way, Chris Shilzilla.
I'm sure he does. You've been
Doesn't see
too
anything I
nice
say.
to him, too. It's funny.
Me?
He has you muted, but you're always... That's the thing with our relationship with Chris Shilzilla is only positivity is allowed towards Chris Shilzilla on Twitter. Our people are his biggest fans. But that's beside the point. This was a big one. Sir Ike sent this to us. This was the Pfizer Superbowl ad.
Yeah.
Little Wall Street Journal article here. Pfizer Super Bowl ad, loading.
This is Pfizer's first Super Bowl commercial touts scientific discoveries.
Yes, the first Pfizer Super Bowl commercial in history. Says Pfizer, the company behind Paxlovid and COVID-19 vaccines, offered its first Super Bowl ad on Sunday, a move that comes as the drug maker is going through a rough patch. The 60-second spot, Here's to Science, overlays scientific discoveries from throughout history with Queen's hit song, Don't Stop Me Now.
Science is truth.
The ad begins in an old-fashioned academic library, blah, blah, blah. After enjoying a heady performance during the pandemic, Pfizer shares have tumbled after the company warned about its prospects in December, deepening Wall Street's concerns.
You skipped over a part here.
Why don't you tell me what you would like to read?
There's a part that I have highlighted.
Okay.
And it says, it features nods to, this is talking about the ad itself.
Yes.
It features nods to major discoveries such as penicillin and Caitlin Carrico's work that laid the scientific groundwork for messenger RNA vaccines, such as those that protected millions from COVID-19.
Now, for those who are old-time Canary criers, which many of you are, some of you might be a little newer, and I'm going to let you in on a piece of Canary Cry culture that is as old as the show itself. This is essential reference points for lots of things, Canary Cry culture. And that is a little guy called the Wormacorn. The Wormacorn, you guessed it, half worm, half unicorn. They live on the moon. We discovered them, of course, through our moon episodes. Really had a lot of fun with that, Gons, of course.
Yeah.
So much fun, indeed, that the Wormacorn became an essential touchstone for Canary Cry culture. And then throughout the years, it was identified after the Israelis crashed a satellite into the moon that contained billions of freeze-dried tardigrades.
Yeah.
Suddenly...
Han Solo'd tardigrades smashing into
That's
the moon.
right.
Yeah.
Tardigrades, for those who don't know, they're the most hardy creature in existence. They live in volcanoes in the ocean, and now they even live on the moon. There are worms in space on the moon. There's some context, very important to me personally, and my life's work. Tardigrades, wormicorns. And, of course, we know the importance of the number 33, and Sir Ike tracked it down. The 33rd second of the Pfizer commercial is Wormacorn. Look at it on the screen, folks. The Pfizer commercial, 60 seconds, 33 seconds into the commercial. The Wormacorn is standing there, staring right at us as if to either mock us or invite us into our rightful place as having some sort of influence on somebody working at least at the production company who made this Pfizer commercial. It's too much. It's too much. Tardigrades are an essential part of the Canary Cry history, and to put the tardigrade 33 seconds into the commercial, it is too much. Certainly, we've got somebody on the inside giving us a little hat tip, Gons.
Well, there's first of all,
33 is the number of completion of the Great Work.
So they're telling us that they're completing the great work with this, and we help them somehow, which is not the intention, of course.
33.
But also the lyrics.
Also a messaging number. There's,
Yes.
it's meant also to message in plain sight when you see 33 used. I mean, it's very interesting. Just go ahead and Google the 33 news articles, and it's endless relevant news articles about what's going on around the globe in the context of looking at things a little differently.
Yeah, and the lyrics that it lands on during the tardigrade scene there is "I'm burning through the sky." Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the tardigrade is the prince of the power of the air, just
Yes.
flying through the air and looking at us and telling us.
I mean, burning through the sky, again, a direct reference to the story that changed everything for us, crashing the satellite onto the moon. It was a satellite disaster exploding on the moon, releasing billions of tardigrades, making the wormicorn lore an absolute reality. I mean, it's too perfect.
Yeah, what year was that when they crashed that into the moon? I'm trying to find it here. I think it was, let's see. Yeah, it looks like August of 2019. I have a BBC
Early
article
stages
here.
of news talk.
Yeah, tardigrades, water bears stuck on the moon after crash. And they got the
There they
CGI
There's the little guy.
version of the guy. Yep, there it is. Yeah, so interesting. I guess they're an important part of science.
Yeah. No, it's important that was directly a message to every Canarian. Pay attention. Stuff is going on at the Super Bowl. Of course, we knew that. But it was obviously, I think there's a lot of news about Pfizer and how they're not doing so great. I take this as a signal. We need to keep an eye on those guys over there, those little rascals at Pfizer.
If we get an email from Pfizer asking us to help and promote, the answer will be no, and we'll probably make that public. So don't even try Pfizer.
Well, everybody's got a price.
Okay, so speaking of things in media and news and all that kind of stuff that relates to weird things we talk about.
You shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
World War III. We can fight the Third World War down there.
State-sponsored propaganda machinery.
It's cold, Basil. It's cold. Antarctica, go first.
Snowstorm.
Antarctica.
Ice scientists are penguins.
Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
So a new discovery. Antarctica.
Antarctica. Climate crisis. Penguins.
Well, we're giving it all to you right at the top because it's rare that Antarctica shows up right at the top of the show. But I think that was all the jingles. World War III, propaganda, Antarctica. Wow, it's all coming together, Basil. Again, we're just going to be a series of jingles by the end of this. But okay, just to outline the situation here. Of course, we finished the show last Wednesday. We saw some stuff about Antarctica popping up on the news, and in relationship to World War III, which is the big story. So to run over some things here. First off, we had the story that we covered. I believe it was on. Let me double check here,
dude. I have an emergency that just came up.
Uh-oh.
I need to pause and run away for about 5 minutes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I will.
You got this, bro.
Walk
I'll be
this.
Thank you. To take a nice leisurely stroll through Antarctica town. I will be
nice stroll. Okay, here we go.
If it wasn't mandatory, I definitely would not do this. But I gotta go. I'll be right back.
Go save your children, animals.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, so Yahoo News. This was back on episode, I want to say 714, Dark COPESPIRACY. We covered the story of the Antarctica situation where irate passengers stage onboard protest after crews secretly changed destinations. And the story was basically that these people on the cruise, they had paid their life savings to get on this cruise to go to Antarctica as part of this cruise. It was a destination point. But without telling the people on board, they canceled the Antarctica part. And they were furious and they were protesting on board. And we were speculating as to why. Why did they suddenly secretly cancel the Antarctica destination? And of course, we speculated, the abyss is opening and all that kind of fun stuff. And the story was actually shared again on Washington Post a couple days later, which suggests maybe who is behind the operation here. Washington Post had the headline, "It was a bucket list cruise to Antarctica. Then plans changed." So again, scary, scary. Something of the unknown. We don't know why, but people are upset. And then we come to Wednesday last week. And, that's Valentine's Day. Everyone's a little distracted. It was a day we had a show as well. And I think we talked about the robot named RAN, R-A-N, that disappeared underneath the Doomsday Glacier, I believe. Yeah, this was from Pop Mechanics. A submersible disappeared under the ice, and so did the secrets it found. So yeah, we were again speculating. See, the abyss open because the RAN, R-A-N vehicle has disappeared. They don't know what happened to it. And then again, Wednesday, New York Post had this headline: "Blasts hit Iran's natural gas pipeline in act of sabotage." Official. Okay. So this is a setup headline here. We had a couple of those Antarctica stories, and now we're going to Iran specifically, and we'll tie it back to the Iran and Antarctica story in a moment here. But again, the 14th, New York Post is carrying this, and this is one I want to go through a little bit of here. Explosions struck a natural gas pipeline in Iran early on Wednesday, with an official blaming the blasts on, quote, sabotage and terrorist actions in the country as tensions remain high in the Middle East amid Israel's war on Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Details were scarce, though the blasts hit a natural gas pipeline running from Iran's western Carmichael, or I don't know if I'm saying that right, Kahar and Bakhtari province up north to cities on the Caspian Sea. The roughly 790-mile pipeline begins in Asuluye, a hub for Iran's offshore South Pars gas fields. Saeed Agli, the manager of Iran's gas network control center, told Iranian state television that a, quote, sabotage and terrorist action caused explosions along several areas of the line. Now, in the context of sabotage, terrorism in Iran, busting up Iranian infrastructure, I'll have to double check with Basil, but in my estimation, is that code for U.S. intelligence? I don't know. I'm just speculating. What do I know? I'm just a guy out here on the internet. There are no known insurgent groups operating in that province. Oh, home to the Bakhtari, a branch of Iran's Lur ethnic group. Agli did not name any suspects in its blast. And it goes on here. Let's see. There was, Tehran marked the 45th anniversary of the revolution on Sunday. Quote, the goal that the enemies were pursuing were to cut the gas in the major provinces of the country, and it did not happen, Algi said. Except for a number of villages that were near the gas transmission lines, no province suffered a cut. And let's see, in the past, Arab separatists in southwestern Iran have claimed attacks against oil pipelines. However, attacks elsewhere in Iran against such infrastructure are rare. Since the revolution, Iran has faced low-level separatist unrest from Kurds in the country's northwest, the Bulaq in the east and Arab in the southwest. However, tensions have risen in recent years as Iran faces an economy hobbled by international sanctions over its nuclear program. And let's see, there's a few other places here that go into, again, just more scaremongering of Iran's nuclear threat, which has been a narrative, a fear narrative for a long time, that we need to take care of Iran because they're bad, and of course, blow stuff up. We got to blow up their pipelines, even though they're not official groups. So that story hit on Wednesday, and of course, everyone's distracted that day. In America, most people are anyway. They're buying flowers and sharing their love, and it's a love day. So, a good day to pull off a little operation to blow some Iranian infrastructure up. But hey, the day comes. People wake up the next day and they check out what happened, and oh no, something happened. And before suspicions can rise, Fox News was all over it. February 15th. Fox headline: Iran declares Antarctica its property in direct challenge to Biden global treaty. Okay. Now, of course, Thursday for me, I don't know about Basil. I woke up and saw this headline, saw people all over X, Twitter talking about it. And I was like, of course. Iran, Antarctica, it all comes together. And so let's see what this article says. It says Jerusalem. Yeah, Jerusalem. Not what you expected to way to start the article, unless you're reading Fox, of course. Jerusalem, Iran's Navy commander, announced in a television broadcast last fall that the regime owns Antarctica and will build a military operation in the South Pole. Quote, we have property rights in the South Pole. We have plans to raise our flag there and carry out military and scientific work. Iranian Navy Commander Rear Admiral Shahram Irani said in late September, according to a translation by the Washington, D.C.-based Middle East Media Research Institute, MEMRI. Iran's naval saber rattling is drawing new attention in response to the Iranian-backed militias that murdered 3 soldiers in Jordan last month. So there's one point of, hey, they have murdered some U.S. soldiers. Retaliation is necessary. There's sort of that justification line there, which again speaks to military-industrial complex propaganda. But also, they are referencing the Jerusalem Post here, and the article that was titled, Why Does Iran Want to Send a Navy Flotilla to Antarctica? Analysis was published on May 20th of 2023, so almost a year ago, and we actually covered that story back on May 22nd. The episode was titled Next Genesis 626. And yeah, we looked at the Antarctica thing, or at least Iran and their sort of interest in establishing military presence in Antarctica. So we had covered that story and thought, weird. And now we know why. And we also, this is also admonition or maybe some skepticism towards the Jerusalem Post and their agendas or, sort of what they're trying to do. Because it seems that there are a lot of stories that Jerusalem Post publishes that are, they appeal to American conservatives and the right, but it is a little fringy at times. And this was one of those where we can look at and say, okay, a year ago they rolled this out on J Post, and now because the war is getting hot, you can use that as reference for a Fox News article to justify perhaps some of the, or maybe not even, openly justify, but at the very least have some kind of propaganda, mind control type of narrative crafting, or people can connect the dots themselves as to, or just justification for taking out the natural gas pipeline. Of course, in the mainstream, nobody is acknowledging that this was the military industrial complex doing its thing, but it's just interesting coincidences there. So back to this Fox article. It states here, Fox News Digital asked a U.S. State Department spokesperson if the recent American unfreezing of $6 billion in Iranian funds held in Qatar could be used by Iran to set up a base in Antarctica. Quote, no, Iran's funds held in Qatar may not be used for any activities in Antarctica, the spokesperson said. Those funds can only be used to purchase humanitarian goods, meaning food, medicine, medical devices, and agricultural products, end quote. Despite the clerical regime's growing bellicosity in the Middle East, and so they're the ones that are stoking this violence, bellicosity, to sort of, stoke violence or stoke tensions. Despite the clerical regime's growing bellicosity in the Middle East and across the world, according to veteran Iran observers, the Biden administration released $6 billion in sanctions relief to Tehran's rulers ahead of the Iran-backed Hamas massacre of 1,200 people October 7th in southern Israel. And of course, this is Fox, so they're going to point the barrel back at Biden and the Democrats, as they always do. Hamas slaughtered over 30 Americans during its invasion of Israel. Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi, who was sanctioned by former President Trump for his role in the 2 massacres of Iranian dissidents and protesters, disputed the Biden administration's restrictions on the use of the $6 billion. Raisi taunted Biden's White House, declaring his regime will use the massive cash infusion, quote, wherever we need it. Quote, Iran's future plan to try to expand its military presence and influence into the Antarctic would not only violate multilateral conventions on the issue, but continues the regime's trend of aggression across the globe, said Yonah Jeremy Bob, author of Target Tehran and a senior Jerusalem Post military and intelligence analyst. There you go. You got your Your Jerusalem Post military and intelligence analysts providing quotes. Quote, whether through terrorism on basically every continent or its rampant piracy in the maritime area, the Islamic Republic continues to show why it is a danger to world stability and why Israel and the Mossad's role in holding it back from nuclear weapons remains critical. So, whether we like it or not as American citizens, it is a mere fact that America, the establishment, as part of the military-industrial complex business that we have embarked on, and when I say we, I mean, sort of the elite American infrastructure, we are tied to the hip to Israel in this mission to, I don't know, build out Western, it's called democracy in some circles. And that's been the mission plan and implemented mission plan for decades now, at the very least. And so we are stuck in this West-East tension, Israel being a touching point on that on a major scale, because you have Judaism/Christianity as sort of a rallying cry against Islam, which is interesting since it's all monotheistic religions. And if we talk about the eschatological perspectives of, hey, is the Antichrist going to present himself as a Jewish Messiah? If he is, then the Daniel 11 verses 40 through 45 stuff makes a lot of sense, where the Antichrist figure is wiping out the enemies of Israel, which is effectively Islam. So that's all part and part with this whole situation here. But to bring up Antarctica in the midst of all this is what's fascinating. Using Antarctica as a sort of a void, like a child without a home, almost, where it's the lost entity that may not be controlled by anybody except us. And here we go, another quote. Every time Tehran expands its tentacles into a new area to dispute the rules-based order promoted by the West, and that's what I'm talking about. We are, as American citizens, we are in this. The U.S. and its allies are given an additional opportunity to take the nuclear threat more seriously. And that is a giveaway right there. The U.S. and its allies, because of the whole Tehran and Iran threat, it gives U.S. and its allies an additional opportunity
to
take the nuclear threat seriously. Hey, you're back.
I love the language of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so sort of political. It's so
upfront too, though.
Coded. It's right in your face, like, but also has this like weird sort of social engineering softening to it. Like, no, It's not a problem. It's a problemtunity. It's it's an opportunity to I don't know, investigate how we really feel. It's like therapy. It's like the U.S. is in therapy. This is an opportunity to think about nuclear war just a little differently.
Yeah.
Reframe it. That would be the therapeutic term. Let's do some reframing.
Yeah, and I've been kind of ranting along here about the whole thing, but part of the reason why we know also why this is, that likely is propaganda, is because the Hindustan Times had it too. Iran claims Antarctica, U.S. State Department responds to safety challenge against global treaty. So anytime Hindustan Times or any Indian outlet carries a story, we have high suspicions that it might be part of the propaganda machinery.
Very high chance, yes, that is American intelligence agencies planting a story overseas so that it can be reported in the U.S. without technically operating in the U.S., which the CIA is not supposed to be doing, but they certainly find ways to wiggle through that a little bit. I mean,
we mentioned the same thing with the Jerusalem Post when you were out for a second there. That they're sort of the first mover. They get to dangle some things out there, and then Fox News can reference it a year later to bring up reason to some kind of open justification to explode some pipelines.
How absolutely random is this? Like, it's so it is so blatantly for the purposes of social engineering, creating and controlling a narrative. And through our own sort of Antarctica reporting and theorizing, Antarctica almost strictly being used like as a mind control tool, kind of like how 9/11 created a button inside of everybody that they could push at any moment. Antarctica, especially recently, I mean, they've really been cranking on this thing. It's created a trigger inside a huge amount of the minds of Americans, and I think around the world, that because it represents the future, it represents utopia, it represents the woke progress, it represents science, not war, not allowed to do war, but science and humanity coming together to figure out the mysteries of the universe down in Antarctica. And then, watch out. Iran is threatening the peaceful utopia that is promised to all rich white liberals down in Antarctica. It's so specific, and it's so absolutely random that it becomes the most specific thing ever.
Yeah.
And it's just an opportunity, folks. Just an opportunity to think about nuclear war a little differently.
Right, and take the threat seriously, which leads me to question for a couple of things, and one of them is a question that we've had for a while: what's in Antarctica? To your point about creating that sort of sentiment there, you have the opposition as well, where you have maybe, and I say this not as the topic itself, but in the context of how the rollout of the topic happened on the internet, and I'm talking about the topic of flat Earth. One of the main things of flat Earth is, hey, Antarctica is not a continent; it's a wall, right? It's the ice wall. Mm-hmm. So you have and if you look at the psychological operation that, in hindsight, was probably threaded throughout those discussions that rose up out of nowhere in 2014, late 2014, and I think we played some role. Maybe this is our maybe the Illuminati are telling us, hey, thank you for that little boost in the flat Earth psyop. But anyway. Two things. That's the first thing. Antarctica, what's going on there? Second thing, what is in Iran that is so important for the West to, make sure Iran doesn't really come to power? And so I have this passage here from Daniel 10. I thought it was interesting to review here, starting in verse 20. And this is actually the Lord. This is the angel of the Lord who comes to Daniel. He's talking to him. Daniel's very disturbed in this chapter. He can't eat. He's seen the visions of the future, and he's not doing well. Okay, he's kind of on the ground and he's crippled, and he gets touched on the shoulder by the Lord, and the Lord says, "Do not be afraid, Daniel." Starting in verse 12, actually. For from the first day that you proposed to understand and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. However, the prince of the kingdom of Persia opposed me for 21 days. So this is a part, I think famously for our circles anyway, we talked about the prince or the prince of the kingdom of Persia being some kind of watcher or some kind of principality that prevented the Lord from appearing in front of Daniel for 21 days. And 21 days is interesting because, and this just occurred to me as I was reading this morning, 1,000 years is to a day. A day is 1,000 years for God. 21 days, 21 centuries. I guess that's not exactly because
that would be 2,100 centuries.
Yeah. But anyway, the 21st century anyway.
Sure.
There you go. Something interesting there. But also it says, then Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left there with the kings of Persia. Now I have come to explain to you what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision concerns those days. I'm just wondering if we are in those days, Basil.
Sure feels like it sometimes. Just one of those days. One of those days when the Lord's battling with the Prince of Persia and the principalities of the air are all trying to get us to love Antarctica.
Yeah, and part of the vision here is that he sees something on the Tigris River. And the great river Tigris is, of course, the parallel river to Euphrates, and it's right on that border of Iran. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know. What does Iran have? It makes me think that Iran has like the ancient supercomputer or something,
Yeah.
And like the West is trying to make sure that they don't implement its power before they do or something.
In your reading of the article, did they give a reason as to why Iran might be interested in Antarctica?
I mean, they sort of repeated the Jerusalem Post stuff. So it was a lot of the military quotes. Let's see. There is this right here. Let me just get to it. Potskin Ozermur, an expert on Iran, told Fox News Digital, quote, everything in Iran is reminiscent of the USSR in its last days before collapse. Ambitious but pointless plans by a state with completely wrong priorities, unable to provide basic services to its people, bankrupt institutions, but full of grandiose talks.
Yeah, so it's just, they're crazy. It's the same talk as
It's the
Putin.
same talk.
And
Yep, it is.
that's kind of the giveaway
Yeah.
is, you know, with Putin, they're like, okay, a thinking person would say, okay, why is he doing this? Why is he invading? What led up to this? What's the history? What's the situation? Why did he choose to do this thing? But we're invited in the U.S., at least if you're listening to the mainstream, it's just, oh, he's crazy. He's crazy and he's dying. He has cancer and
Yeah.
Putin's crazy and he does it for no reason, unprovoked, absolutely nothing. That's why he's crazy, and we need to, you know what we do with crazy people around here. We set them free onto the streets of San Francisco. And it's the same exact storyline here. They're doing it for no reason. It doesn't make sense. They're just crazy.
Well, yeah,
And I think the
here's-
reference
yeah.
to the USSR, too, is pretty telling. It's just
Yeah.
replaying the playbook of, you got to hate Putin. Why? Well, just because we say so.
Yeah. Just referencing back to the Jerusalem Post article we covered a year ago, it says here that Iran says that its presence, quote, in the Antarctic is important from various scientific, legal, and political, geostrategic, economic, capacity building, and access to new technologies aspects. And in the future, this region will be a major issue on the international scene. So they might have
Access
let
to new technologies.
New technologies. I think they let the cat out of the bag a
Yeah,
little bit last year.
Needs the access to the either Nazi bases or alien control center down there. Iran wants access to the technologies.
But plus, it's got to be cold, man. It's got to be cold for those super duper computers to work.
Yeah,
'cause,
you don't want to
you gotta
fry
get-
your chips. You got to
Yeah.
have extreme cooling capabilities.
Yeah. So there you go. You know, the battle continues.
Yeah,
on this
it's
Wednesday.
crazy. I mean, this is, to me, to us, in the theory of Canary Cry, I think this is the signal that war with Iran is sort of imminent. Like it's just imminent. It's not a question anymore.
I said this Wednesday. That's how fast time is moving for me. It's Monday.
What day?
Oh, what happened? Monday. Here we go.
What day is it? Monday. Monday. Monday.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Gary, what day is it? Monday. Monday.
Yep, it's Monday, folks. We're glad you're here. We're happy to be back. It's you know, I love our schedule recently, but it definitely is like, oh man, so much has happened since last episode. Can you imagine a world in which we would be doing one episode a week? I mean, it's impossible.
It would be like
It's
a
impossible.
10-hour episode. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's take forever to get.
You know, and that is a nice sign, or I think it's an important sign for me in the days that we're in, is that you can't really, not really. I mean, if you want to take your podcasting seriously, you can't do it once a week. Once a week is not enough.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, it is a little discouraging because there are some very big popular podcasts that just do once a week. But really, the ones who are there in the trenches making it happen at least twice a week. And I think, you know, you kind of have to do 3 times a week. So I'm enjoying it. But yeah, definitely a build-up since last Wednesday.
It seems like stuff just breaks on Wednesday, and then we just get to sit there and watch it all unfold over the weekend. But it's kind of nice to be able to gather thoughts before we go.
That's
live
what
on
I'm
Monday.
thinking. It's
Yeah.
nice to let things play out a little bit, because too much of, you know, independent media, unfortunately, and we're guilty of it sometimes, is immediate responses. Like
Which
something
is
happened yesterday.
Shallow but quick. You know,
Yeah.
it's a cult. It's a cult there. I spot a cult.
big thing happened yesterday. We got to talk about it right away. There's not a lot of details, not a lot of thinking, not a lot of pondering, not a lot of time for the spirit to move as far as analyzing or deconstructing it. So it's kind of nice to have that break there. And of course, I'm getting a lot of great feedback about the sort of edification of the interview episodes. So we hope everybody enjoyed the episode on Friday, and we've got more to come. And as always, if you have someone that you would like us to interview for a Friday show, of course, let us know. If, as a producer, what would be better and what helps us a lot is if, as a producer, you could help us track down contact info, maybe get a few people to email them.
I thought you were just going to say Kevin Sorbo. If you can just track down Kevin Sorbo.
Kevin Sorbo, yeah. So we need a couple more hooks in that guy to get him on the show. But yeah, it's not just, hey, you should interview this guy. It's, hey, produce. Give us the email. Send an email. Send some messages. Let them know we're coming. And that's the way to do it. All right. You have anything interesting you want to share?
Yeah. So I was out at the park. I go to the park every week with the kids, and I was playing with them, and I was thinking about I have a 3-year-old son, 6-year-old daughter, and we're just running around and chasing each other and doing fun things. And I was thinking, man, this is way more therapeutic than like therapy, at least for me. Like I've gone to therapy, just transparent. I've done therapy.
Who hasn't
it helps
nowadays?
Yeah, well, yeah, it helps to talk about your things, your issues and whatnot. But there's something about tapping into your own childhood with your own children that and you're tapping into joy. Like when you're playing and stuff. It's a whole different thing. So I recommend it, Basil. It's different with animals.
It's
a
little
godly,
bit more... sort of a godly system. Like
I think it's the natural
Lord
therapy there.
Built into the life cycle of humans a sort of healing a healing
mechanism.
A healing mechanism where sure you can make it a few decades not addressing your childhood problems, but then the healing mechanism is when you got kids and you are sort of confronted with what your childhood is like, what theirs is like, how you can move forward and sort of healing the generational habits of parenthood, stuff like that. So,
yeah.
Good, man. I'm glad you got that.
Yeah,
I won't go into how emus have been helping me heal.
I know. I'm saying whatever you're getting out of the emus and the dogs and the bunnies, I feel that there's a whole nother level that you will discover. When,
I don't disagree. I do not disagree.
Comes, so there you go.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for being here. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we made it a few more % to our goal over at canarycry.tube. You got that canarycry.tube dove art laying around? I think it'd be good. It'd be good to have to pop up on the screen when we talk about it. But you know this, folks, and here's the thing. We got to repeat it for some time now because, believe it or not, there are people out there who do not listen to every single second of the show. Maybe they catch an episode here or there. Maybe they just tune in for the interview episode, stuff like that. So we just want to make sure that the word gets out. Canarycry.tube. The time has come that it has become absolutely mandatory that we build out our own streaming infrastructure, that we build our own hardware, our servers, our video distribution, an app, stuff like that to go directly to Canarians. No longer is relying on the big tech platforms a good idea. It never was a good idea. But we're humming and hawing. The humming and hawing is over, folks, and we are doing it. And the thing is, it will take the entire community to help make this happen. There's lots of resources in different types. We've had a few developer types, IT people, come in, say, hey, I can help you do this. Let's get to work. I'm like, okay, sounds good. We're putting the team together. We're making progress, folks. So go to canarycry.tube and sign up. Cancel some, streaming corporation thing who hates you. Cancel one of those services. Go to canarycry.tube and sign up there to support that monthly. And as an immediate reward, first of all, we are going to be running the Age of Deceit 4 focus group. Gons is cranking on Age of Deceit 4. It's his number one top priority right now. And in the spirit of growth, Gons, you've been very good at seeing the possibilities, agreeing with the benefit of letting in some serious Canarians in on the process, to partake in, like 10, 15-minute segments of Age of Deceit 4 and then give their feedback. You can literally become an essential part of perfecting Age of Deceit 4 instead of the old school YouTube way of just making something and putting it out there and hoping that it's good. We're doing it the right way. And it's all independent. It is just the people who see the value in our streaming sovereignty and who want to be a part of the project of Age of Deceit 4. You'll be credited at the end. So go canarycry.tube, sign up, make sure to hit that monthly donation button. And we'll be in contact. And when the Age of Deceit 4 focus group is ready, which we are hoping and praying that we can start going through the film in the next couple weeks. I think we can align it with the Q1 first quarter supply drop cutoff. That's another thing. The cutoff for Q1 supply drop is at the end of this month, folks. So if you want to, now supply droppers, you will be in the Age of Deceit focus group. T-shirt council members, you will be in the Age of Deceit focus group. But more than anything, if you want to make sure that your producership goes towards making this show and the community survive forever, this is the way to do it. This is how Canary Cry community, the Canarium as a whole, survives this election year. It's the only way. So go to canarycry.tube. Oh, yeah. And if you want to sign up for the supply drop, the deadline is the end of this month. So go sign up at canarycrysupply.com.
Yep.
Okay. Let's thank some executive producers. What do you say?
Executive producers.
Yep, we're on the value for value model, folks, which means we take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels. We are entirely funded. We are truly independent media. We do not rely on advertisers, corporations to keep this show going. It is a dark system that unfortunately so much of allegedly independent media has been relying on, and it will spell their doom. It just will.
Can I just rant for give me 1 minute to rant?
I would love it if you did.
Okay, so there was a big interview this past weekend that was published by Tucker Carlson, an interview with, I think his name is Mike Benz, if I'm getting the first name right. And, he's a guy that said all the things that you'd want to hear in terms of how the censorship apparatus out here with big tech and everything operated, why they did it, and all this kind of stuff. And it made sense, and a lot of it I think was true. But I was sort of the party pooper. I posted this on X, Twitter, and I was just kind of skeptical about, hey, everyone's praising this interview and praising Tucker after this Putin thing. But I looked up at the bio for this guy, Benz, and on his website, he says he is the former State Department official with responsibilities in formulating and negotiating U.S. foreign policy on international communications and information technology matters. And he basically what he was doing was fifth-generation warfare, which I couldn't believe that he was doing it and nobody else was calling that out, where he's literally crafting a narrative that appeals to conservatives, to us, Basil, you and I, people like us, and misdirecting the entire thing by this is the infiltration. It's on X, and later he was like, "Hey, how do you support this guy? Oh, I'm on X now. We're gonna have exclusive club members behind a paywall on X." And then Elon shared it, and so it was kind of like I was mind blown because it's a guy who works for the State Department with NATO and U.S. foreign policy, and he's on Tucker saying all the things you want to hear, and then he's being platformed on X, being blessed by Elon, and hey, give me $5 a month, and I'll get you, we'll have exclusive talks on X. And I just thought, man, you know, how is this not exploiting the attention of the masses at this moment, especially during this conservative swing as the pendulum swings right? It just seems like the more we go right, the more traditional, I don't know, neocon might be too strong of a word, but just sort of the traditional establishment types making their presence known in quote unquote alt media. And so I just want to say alt media and independent media are becoming clearer as, you know, we don't associate necessarily. We might interview some
clearer
people.
Distinction, you mean?
Yeah,
a
clear
distinction between alt media and independent media.
Yes, becoming more clear. So anyway, I just want people to understand that it's confusing out there right now because everybody is talking about alt media. Mainstream media is somewhat dead. And so everyone thinks that we're in this revolution, and it kind of is a revolution, but it's sort of crafted revolution. So
it's a different message, but the same system.
Right.
If, you know,
Exactly.
and that's the danger. And, you know, it all goes back to the infiltration of alt media by mainstream media personalities. Tucker, unfortunately, is sort of in that group where it is nothing but healthy to be skeptical of everything, and including Tucker Carlson. And unfortunately, there's a lot of implicit trust being put in Tucker, and I understand it, and it can feel sort of optimistic to see him make that transition, but we cannot lose sight that, you know, we called it like 200 episodes ago, the episode that most recently got us banned from YouTube from 2 years ago was the episode where we laid out this roadmap of mainstream media personalities, and this was before Tucker, leaving
It's
mainstream.
before Elon bought X, right?
Yeah, right. It was the roadmap of mainstream media knows it's losing power, so the mainstream media personalities being sort of either thrown out or leaving, somehow disconnected from mainstream, and then infiltrating the alternative media space, but still carrying that spirit, if not, you know, intentional infiltration for subterfuge.
It might be worse. Yeah, it might be worse because it is appealing. You know, there's this, and I've mentioned this before, but there's this whole concept of in my head it's been making a lot of sense, is that, hey, you let progressivism and liberalism and all this stuff become prominent, and in sort of a fascistic way where if you speak out against it, you get canceled and all this kind of stuff. And then you get some brave voices, conservative voices, to stand up and say the obvious. Hey, there's only two genders. Ah! Celebrity, superstar. And then you have this polarization, and then you got everybody lined up with this new media.
Yeah.
And so it makes too much sense in hindsight, especially.
Instant power. Yeah. For the problem reaction solution of totally flooding the mainstream with, you know,
nonsense.
Double speak, nonsense, absolute illogical buffoonery that forces people to deny their own eyes and ears. So obvious, so unbelievably blatant. And then, I mean, the fact that then all you have to do is simply say the most
obvious thing.
The most obvious, everybody knows it, everybody hears it, everybody knows fact, and then suddenly you're like this huge cultural hero for just saying the thing that we all know.
Yeah.
And I think you know, if you think about the power of that operation, to simply be able to say a true thing and gain the sort of love, devotion, and business of millions of people, it is too perfect of a setup. And we laid that all out in that episode. We got banned for that episode 2 years later, right during the Tucker Putin thing. It's, you know, I'm not saying I'm going to go out and start campaigning against Tucker or something. I'm just saying we need to not forget the essential nature of of being critical of every single personality, including us. And so, remember, it's there's always somebody trying to pull your strings. So just trying to cut the strings and let them lie instead of handing them to a new puppet master.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's why we're independent media, not just alt media, independent media, take no resources from corporations, advertisers, commies, cartels, none of that stuff. It's all value for value. Everything we do is available for free because that is the most valuable thing that we can do. But with the value for value system, we are invited to realize, each one of us, that if the value we receive from this show is important to our lives or our minds or our perspectives or our spiritual life, whatever, then it is essential that we put value back in. And that can be with your time, your talent, or your treasure. It's not just all about money. If you have a skill, put it into the show, put it into the community. If you have a talent, put it into the show, put it into the community. Of course, resources, financial resources, very important. If that's something that you're blessed with or that you feel free to participate in that way, by all means, it is essential. CanaryCry.tube is an example of that. And it's all of us together making it happen. It's not just us being supported by people, but it's the whole community working together. And you can learn more at canarycry.support. We've got some executive producers who came in to support the show for $100 or more per for an individual episode, and we thank them here at the top. It's very important. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, executive producers for episode 716. We are starting with the man, the most consistent supporter there's been just as consistent supporters, but the generosity of consistency is very important to the survival of this show. And there is, of course, one man that must be appreciated, and that is executive producer Sir Alex Protocol V2 Night of the Berean Protocol. Comes in with $100, 33 cents.
Man or protocol?
Where'd you find this?
Oh yeah. His pronouns are protocol. That's fun. He's on a 264 episode streak in altogether, but a 62 episode executive producer streak. Right. Next up, we've got executive producer Sir Jamie, not the Lannister.
Where'd you find this?
Sorry, did I cut you off?
No. And he comes in with his weekly tithe, which is very impactful to us. It's unbelievable, and it's we take it very seriously when people include us in their spiritual practice of giving. And thank you very much, Sir Jamie, not the Lannister.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we got another familiar face on the list. That's executive producer Felicia D.
Felicia D.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you very much, executive producer Felicia D. Always a treat to have you on the list.
Yep.
And that's it. That's the list of the list of executive producers for today's episode.
Sounds good.
We don't have a whole lot of art, do we, today?
I don't think so.
Okay. Then I'm going to thank the rest of the list in the second break.
Okay. All right. So let's, what are we doing?
Flippy.
Flippy. Okay, here we go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Moving. Flippy, moving. moving. Flippy.
That's a cool song.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Flippy, moving, Flippy, he's a moving okay. This is coming from abc.net.au. And this is just a delight, Gons, where, of course, Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all of the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world, and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today, Flippy update coming from abc.net.au. The headline, Banana Industry turns to robots and AI for, quote, dangerous packing shed task of cutting fruit from stem.
Ooh, I didn't know that was dangerous.
Apparently it's dangerous.
And
so
by the way, just as because we're bringing up bananas, my children made banana bread, and I have a slice right here. So while you do this, I'm gonna eat a banana bread.
Your children made banana bread,
Yeah.
hopefully with the help of the nanny, I'm assuming.
Yes,
Okay.
it was all supervised.
What a revolutionary traditional activity to teach the
course.
next generation. Actually making food, not relying on the packaged food to fall from the processing tree.
Or robots.
Yeah. Here we go. Where was I? But oh no. Oh gosh. Hold on. Banana industry turns to robots and AI for dangerous packing shed task of cutting fruit from stem. It's often top of the list of Australia's most popular fruit, finding its way into lunchboxes and smoothies across the country every day. But it takes a bit of an effort to get bananas from the farm to the fruit bowl, which is the most sort of offensively obvious thing to say. But again, in this clown world that we live in, where Gen Z doesn't even know that fruit grows on trees and that you can eat fruit without sending it through a radiation machine, the act of saying, hey, yeah, it takes a bit of effort to have a banana farm and make it to your fruit bowl.
Store? It doesn't grow at the store?
The recognition of the human effort that goes into farming is truly sort of revolutionary. But it takes a bit of effort to get bananas from the farm to the fruit bowl, with growers relying on a significant workforce to pick and pack each harvest. Oh no! We can't have an industry that requires a significant workforce, especially when most bananas are grown in the southern hemisphere and we're trying to bring up all those workers up to the northern hemisphere. We're running out of workers in the southern hemisphere because we're bringing them up here. Now scientists are working, the scientists getting involved. Now scientists are working with industry to develop a prototype robotic arm to separate the banana fruit from the stalk, a labor-intensive process known as de-handing. I am convinced that this phrase de-handing is made to sound especially threatening. Like, yeah, they got to cut the bananas off the stalks. It's called de-handing, not just because it's called a hand of bananas, but because the workers are losing their hands doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say. It started with, I don't know, some guy chopped off his hand on accident, and now
de-handing.
it's called de-handing. Yeah.
He's our expert de-hander. Quote, we had a chat to the Australian Banana Growers Council, and they were looking at how robots and AI could help the banana industry, said Chris Leonard, chief investigator with QUT's Center for Robotics. Quote, we spent about 6 months investigating banana farms. Investigating banana farms. Banana farm investigator. We went up to North Queensland and had a look about at what some of the challenges were. Quote, what we found was they really experienced challenges with de-handing or removing the hand of bananas from the bunch. And then a nice big subheadline, robot arm to replace, quote, dangerous task. The robot is replacing a dangerous task. De-handing is the process of removing banana hands from the stem and was identified by the ABGC as the logical place to start for automation. Quote, it would be feasible to use current technology to maybe develop a sort of robotic arm that could cut the bananas off, said Rosie Godwin, the ABGC's research and development manager. Then they've got some fun sort of illustrations here of just how a robotic arm could cut bananas off of the stem. Quote, farmers are crying out for a solution that can help them because
I'm surprised they didn't say handless. Handless farmers.
Crying out. Oh, please, God, if only we had a robot to cut the banana off the stem. Farmers are crying out for a solution that can help them because they're actually struggling to get the labor for these types of tasks, especially when it's quite dangerous task to cut bananas, he said. collaboration critical to its success. So here's the thing, folks. Don't think this is just scientists waltzing on in, trying to take over the labor market with their new inventions. But there's a reason robots and AI have yet to be introduced to banana packing sheds. Quote, people have tried all around the world to automate banana production and haven't been successful. Oh, it's humanity's most dangerous
years
operation.
Of research and
yes,
funding.
We just can't figure it out. But Dr. Godwin said the project's initial collaboration between scientists and farmers was critical to its success, ensuring the outcome was financially and commercially viable for all involved. Quote, you have to have industry and scientists working together to get rid of all the low-paying jobs that support the economy of the lower classes and replace them with robots because they're useless eaters. Thank you, King Charles. I think that's the best way forward, she said. Dr. Leonard agrees this will lead to greater outcomes for the banana industry. Quote, we want to make sure that as we're developing this technology, we're not missing anything in terms of what the farmers need in the environment and what's going to work in, and especially make sure that the whole cost benefit of what we're doing works for farmers. Quote, what we envision is that potentially this is not something that you would sell to a farmer. Okay.
What?
But maybe it's provided as a service.
Oh, there it is.
So there is the key right there. It's not even empowering farmers. It's taking away the jobs of those who just need agricultural work is noble work.
Yeah.
We know this. I mean, it's the mainstream media that wants to give the impression that agricultural work is like low skill, anybody could do it. That's why we need immigrants. And it's like, do you not see how racist you are being? I mean, agricultural work is like backbreaking. But no, this is not empowering farmers by giving them the equipment they need. This was part of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution empowered farmers by giving them tools to allow them to do things that they couldn't do before at a scale much bigger. It wasn't until the corporate takeover of farming where the equipment, the services, things became so expensive that they were out of reach of an average farmer, which forced corporations to provide services. Hey, this isn't your tractor. This is our tractor, but you can use it, at the expense of your crop yield or whatever.
Right.
It's this real farmers, and we've seen this all around the world with the farming protests going on, the overregulation, the honestly the dishonor, the disrespect giving the people who grow our food in the name of whatever sort of ecological bureaucracy that's trying to take over the world. It's a horrible development, and it's been going on for a long time. And it's all about disempowering the farmers and putting the resources of production not into the hands of the farmers, but to indenture them to the services.
Yeah.
If you have a farmer who is having to constantly pay for a service, what you have is not a farmer who can operate machinery. You have an indentured servant who it's just sharecropping. It's technological sharecropping. But that's how they want, that's obviously there's a global plan to turn all farmers into indentured sharecroppers, which unfortunately to agree is already the case. But banana farmers, they're coming for you next. Quote, what we envision is that, this potentially not something that you would sell to a farmer. Why not? Why? Why not sell it to the farmer? But maybe it's provided as a service. Oh, so you can own the farmer. Quote, I think in 3 to 4 years from now, we would start to see some of this technology in the hands of farmers. So very soon, I think that's even a little bit of a stretching it out that far.
Did he try to be a pun there? De-handing problem
put it
is
into
going
the
to have
hands of
technology into the
farmers.
hands of farmers who have problem with dehanding. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting too, because we've talked about robotic arm. It's a symbol. It's a sort of esoteric symbol of doing. And yeah, it's called dehanding. So why don't you dehand the banana industry, take it out of the hands of the humans, put it into the hands of the robots and the corporations who own them.
There's a lot of layers, yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the core of this whole idea of doing anything as a service is getting at me, because I've been looking into distributism, sort of the G.K. Chesterton response to the rise of the, I guess it was the Industrial Revolution, or at least part of it. And
well, it's more the sort of tycoons of the Industrial Revolution.
It was like early 1900s type of thing. Yeah. So it was corporatism in its earliest type of form. But anyway, as a response to that, this idea of distributism that he was talking about mentioned getting into the hands as a human right for every person born. As a right to their existence, they get to have the tools for the means of production. It's a God-given right, not that they have to, of course somebody can build it, but those basic tools. And so when you look at something as a service, it's fundamentally not that. It's taking the power away, to your point. So it's
and the difference, and we've gone through this before, but just a quick note, the difference between distributism and, say, communism, if you start talking about people's right to ownership of something, distributism is each human's God-given right to the fruits of their labor, to the access to the earth that God gave humanity. That's having land. I think originally
2 acres and a mule, or 2 acres and a cow, or whatever. I can't
something like
exactly.
that. Where each person is entitled to the earth that they were given by God, which takes power out of the hands of, State Street, Wall Street, BlackRock, Vanguard, the government, to keep people away from their ability to work the land. That's different from, say, socialism or communism, which is gimme free money. Gimme universal basic income. I have a right as a human to have fiat currency.
It is my right. Give me my things,
Yeah, it is my right as a child of God to get free fiat currency provided to me by other taxpayers. No, that's not what distributism is. If you are a human, the Lord gave the earth to you, and you have the right to work the land and enjoy the fruits of your labor. So big difference there. I know some people miss the distinction.
It's the one concept or philosophy that really sits right in the middle, criticizing both communism/socialism type of systems and corporatism.
And it's the bridge. It's the bridge to the leftists who will say, well, Jesus was a communist. Well, the Bible says, socialism is good because look, they're all sharing stuff. No. In the Bible, everybody had a right to the fruits of their labor, not free stuff from other people. It's, so there you go. It's the subtle bridge that takes you away from the biblical socialism model, which is absolutely corrupted, and, the rights of being a human being created by God.
Interesting how we can go there when we talk about robot arms, isn't it?
That's what I'm
this
telling
podcast
is grumpy people thinking we're just talking about robots. It's about everything.
It's about everything.
And just it has to be mentioned. The cultural, the culture, the banana farming, tally me banana. The whole sort of vibe of tropical fruit procurement is such like a delightful cultural piece. And
squash banana.
To replace that with corporatist robot slaves is not.
Stay off our bananas.
Exactly. Tally me banana. Okay, Mr. Tallyman? Tally me banana. All right, there's a Flippy update for the day.
All right, time for some Joe.
Armageddon's on the way.
Got hairy legs. Got the Joe. Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs. Hairy. Got hairy legs. Hairy. COVID.
Get vaccinated.
Boy, oh boy. Some interesting news popping up on the old mainstream there. This is coming from the Washington Post. And the headline, documents reveal Abraham Lincoln pardoned Biden's great-great-grandfather. Wow.
This is so confusing. I have such mixed feelings about this. You know, you look at this story in the context of you know, what are they trying to say? What's the message here? It's so confusing. Take
there
us
may be
through
a couple things that I think we can touch on here. So it says, every new president selects personalized Oval Office decor to suit the tastes and pay homage to admired predecessors. President Biden's Oval Office boasts both a portrait and a bust of Abraham Lincoln, but his family's connection to the 16th president extends far beyond workplace ornamentation. It dates to a late night brawl during the Civil War.
Woo!
On the evening of March 21st, 1864, at the quiet of a small corner of the Army of the Potomac's sprawling winter camp along the Rappahannock River near Beverly Ford, Virginia, was disturbed when a fight broke out in one of the mess tents between Union Army civilian employees Moses J. Robinet and John J. Alexander. The scuffle left Alexander bleeding from knife wounds.
Oh, no.
And Robinet was... There's so many layers to this that we'll get to. There's what's the dog's name?
Commander?
Commander, yes, there's a commander element to this too. The scuffle left Alexander bleeding from knife wounds, and Robinet was charged with attempted murder and incarcerated on a remote island near modern-day Florida. It would also cause...
Robinet, by the way, Joe Biden's middle name is Robinet.
Yes,
this is a great-great-grandfather.
Yes. It would also cause an unexpected intersection in the histories of two American presidents, Lincoln and Biden, a story that has waited 160 years to be told.
Why? I
don't know.
Why have they kept it a secret? I mean, it's a good question. This seems like it's something that should be common knowledge.
Yeah, common knowledge.
You know, his presidential history, you know, it would be a very interesting story to know about Joe Biden, and they've hidden it for this long. I mean, they didn't just find out about it. It just hasn't been told.
Well, ChatGPT told them it was true, so this is probably where they're getting it. But Robinet, who received a pardon from Lincoln, was Biden's great-great-grandfather. Joseph Robinet Biden's ancestral line has long been established and lists Moses J. Robinet among his paternal ancestors hailing from Western Maryland, but very little has ever been chronicled about the man. Yeah, why? Why? Interesting. Robinet's court-martial records discovered at the National Archive in Washington show how the current president's story is intertwined with that of the man who was president at the most perilous junction in U.S. history. In 1861, Robinet was 42, married, and running a hotel near the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad junction of Grafton, Virginia. Union sentiments ran high in Virginia's mountainous western counties, which soon broke off to form the new state of West Virginia. As the nations lurched towards armed conflict that spring, smoldering resentments against Virginia's politically dominant slaveholding elite flared into open defiance after Northwestern delegates tried to block the secession movement and were expelled from the Virginia Convention. Western Virginia became an early battleground as both sides fought to control the railroad. Union troops occupied Grafton in mid-June 1861 and drove Confederate forces out of the region within 6 months. The Robinet family suffered setbacks in the war's early years. Moses' wife, Jane, died, and his hotel was destroyed, allegedly by Union soldiers. Wow. Seeking safety for his youngest surviving children, Robinet appears to have left Virginia and returned to his extended family in Allegheny County, Maryland. Robinet was hired as a civilian veterinary surgeon by the U.S. Army Quartermaster's Department in late 1862 or
veterinary
early 1863.
surgeon.
Civilian veterinary surgeon.
So during the Civil War,
Yes, and they get to
He was doing surgery on dogs?
It was not dogs. He was assigned to the Army of the Potomac's Reserve Artillery and tasked with keeping healthy the horses and mules that pull the ammunition wagons. His
Surgeon is a weird thing for that. What surgery is he doing on horses?
His qualifications for the position as someone without formal medical training were unstated. But such an appointment was not unusual in Civil War armies. Few veterinary colleges existed outside Europe in the 19th century, and Congress refused to authorize the creation of an official Army Veterinary Corps until the First World War. So the government didn't even have an arm to take care of the animals, okay? So he was like a rogue civilian veterinary surgeon.
A mercenary, veterinary mercenary.
Yeah. On the March evening near Beverly Ford, Alexander, a brigade wagon master, overheard Robinet saying something about him to the female cook and rushed into the mess shanty to demand an explanation. Tempers flared. Expletives followed. That's not a surprise. And Robinet drew his pocket knife. A brief scuffle left Alexander bleeding from several cuts, interesting, before camp watchmen arrived to arrest Robinet. Nearly a month passed before Robinet's military trial began. The charges specified that he had become intoxicated and incited, quote, a dangerous quarrel, violating good order and military discipline. Because a drawn weapon was involved, assault with, quote, attempts to kill was included among the charges. Witnesses described Robinet as, quote, full of fun, always lively and joking. It's kind of weird. And testimony varied on whether...
All the stabbiest ones are pretty fun.
They're fun.
That's the thing about stabbies.
Just don't get them loaded up with the spirits or
they're a
they
real
get a
good
little
time.
possessed. And testimony varied on whether either man had consumed alcohol before the fight broke out. According to the trial transcript, Robinet stated in closing, quote, that whatever I have done was done in self-defense, that I had no malice toward Mr. Alexander before or since. He grabbed me and possibly might have injured me seriously had I not resorted to the means that I did, end quote. The military judges were not convinced. The next day, they rendered a unanimous verdict guilty on all counts, with the exception of, quote, attempt to kill. Oh, so yeah, they took that off the charges there. The punishment was 2 years' incarceration at hard labor. After his conviction, Robinet again had to wait nearly 3 months for his case to churn through the Army's bureaucratic channels. Occupied by active military operations, the commander of the Army of the Potomac, General George G. Meade, did not confirm Robinet's sentence until early July, when he was sent to the dry Tortugas Island near Key West, Florida. The island were home to Fort Jefferson, a giant brick structure designed to protect the southern coast and Gulf of Mexico shipping lanes. And I have a picture for those of you watching. It looks like an artificial island, and literally the walls of this prison are in the shape of a hexagon. So it's like that's a hexagon, right? Yeah, a hexagon. There you go. So yeah, 6-sided walled prison on a miniature island the size of the prison.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, it's like a Guantanamo Bay situation.
Right. The island were home to Fort Jefferson and giant. The massive increase in U.S. forces needed to fight the Civil War correspondingly ballooned the number of military trials and convictions. When mainland prison space ran out, Fort Jefferson became a military prison, one described by Lincoln's opponents as American Siberia. When Robinet disembarked there, the growing prison population numbered more than 700. So that's one aspect of this that I think is interesting, is bringing up a sort of Guantanamo Bay type of thing that existed during the Civil War at a time when America's sort of tensions with parties is high. You know, are we going to have our own sort of political prisoner island for domestic dissidents type of thing? I don't know. It's been part of the conversation of conspiracy theorists for years. Around the time Robinet arrived on Dry Tortugas, 3 Army officers who knew him petitioned Lincoln to overturn his conviction. He's always got friends. He's got friends in high places. John S. Burdett, David L. Smith, and Samuel R. Steele wrote that Robinet's sentence was unduly harsh for, quote, defending himself and cutting with a penknife teamster much his superior in strength and size, all under the impulse of the excitement of the moment, end quote. They testified that Robinette had, from the outbreak of the war, been, quote, ardent and influential in opposing traitors and their schemes to destroy the government, end quote. The letter concluded with an emotional flourish, quote, I think of his motherless daughters and sons at home, praying for your interposition in behalf of the unfortunate father and distressed family of loved children, Union daughters and Union sons.
Which
quote.
is so Joe Biden.
It's so Joe Biden.
It's so Joe
baked
Biden.
into his DNA.
Yeah.
I mean, he must know about this story and probably was, was part of his lure.
Oh, of
up.
course. This has been a part of, the family story forever.
Yeah. The missive did not go straight to the White House, but first landed on the desk of Whitman T. Wiley, a newly elected senator from the recently admitted state of West Virginia. He endorsed the plea, calling Robinette's punishment, quote, a hard sentence on the case as stated. Lincoln's private secretary, John G. Nicolay, promptly requested that the Judge Advocate General Joseph Holt send over a report and the trial transcripts for presidential review. Holt's report arrived in late August, and Lincoln made his decision, writing, quote, pardon for unexecuted part of punishment. Abe Lincoln, September 1st, 1864. Shortly thereafter, the War Department issued special orders Number 296, freeing Robinette from prison. After more than a month on sweltering dry Tortugas, Robinette returned to his family in Maryland, where he took up farming again. Ah, interesting. Farming. Keeps coming up. He lived into the 20th century, dying at his daughter's home in 1903, while his brief obituary eulogized him as, quote, man of education and gentlemanly attainments. No mention was made of his wartime court-martial or his fleeting connection to Abraham Lincoln. But the slender sheaf of 22 well-preserved pages of his trial transcript, unobtrusively squeezed among many hundreds of other routine court-martial cases in the National Archives, reveals the hidden link between the two men and between two presidents across the centuries. Those few pages not only fill in an unknown piece of Biden's family history, but also serve as a reminder of just how many Civil War stories have yet to be told.
Yeah. I think you're right. The timing of this story is incredible for a couple of reasons. Number one, the Civil War angle. Why do we not know about this pretty interesting story about the Civil War and Joe Biden's great-great-grandpa? I mean, being pardoned by Lincoln, that's a big story. Yeah. And so, the timing to connect, the connection to the Civil War talk going on today kind of serves to give some credibility to Biden's actions in whatever is to happen next,
Yeah.
And then also just to reveal the sort of spiritual ancestry of Joe Biden and his ancestors committing crimes and getting away with it with political favors, by those in power.
Tip of a knife.
Yeah, he's definitely
stabbing people.
His great-great-grandpa was not the last Biden to, get have his wrongs righted just by knowing a guy in the government. It's pretty incredible. No wonder he's getting away from so many things. And, there is an interesting conversation to be had about, spiritual ancestry, some sins of the father.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that maybe, this lineage, this bloodline, which is all probably, I haven't done the deep digging as to how far back it goes, but, it comes from, there's theories about the Merovingian bloodlines and stuff like that. But
yeah.
Perhaps this Biden family bloodline is protected, quote unquote, in some way, and therefore, and not just spiritual, of obviously principalities and powers, but then in the carnal flesh type of manifestation.
Right.
And maybe Hunter, in that regard, the whole Hunter story is about the fact that he's kind of like a chosen one. He's never going to get in trouble. He's just going to be this guy, and whatever they have planned for him or his lineage. Who knows, man? Who knows?
The power of the federal government will always come to the aid of the Bidens. I mean, it's happened for almost 200 years now.
Yeah, I guess the other narrative is, can Trump? Well, Trump has his own or weird
He's
narratives.
he's got a very interesting sort of spiritual ancestry as well.
Yeah, and he just shared a picture of Dr. Fred Trump, I believe. Is that his name? The uncle that had a look at the Tesla papers as soon as Tesla passed away.
I thought maybe Fred was his dad, but
was Fred his dad? I forget.
His uncle, was
Trump. Yeah.
allegedly ran off with the Tesla papers before the government could get to it.
Well, I think the story was that he was brought in by the CIA to look at it because they couldn't understand what was being written about by Nikola
again,
Tesla.
the Trump ancestry, obtaining classified documents for generations. Keeping secret documents has been a spiritual ancestry for sure.
It's a practice.
So
it's a ritual of its own for these folks. Apparently.
Yeah, exactly. It's really trippy.
Yeah. Well, it's and this goes hand in hand, I think, with what we're about to talk about, which
yes,
I guess can go under building back better.
Build back better. Build back better. Build back better. We will build Babylon this time. A new world order.
Yeah, interesting. I see that. Yeah, there's interesting. So
Lots
funny. We really only lock in the show. We have notes. We have a bunch of articles. We have a bunch of stuff that we're thinking about and writing about and figuring out between the two of us. Then we come together and we figure it out. Like basically right before the show, we lock in the things that are going to be in the show.
We didn't do the Russia nuke space thing today.
Yeah,
that's one thing we did not talk about.
Thank God, honestly, that's just so annoying.
Oh boy. Okay.
But these themes kind of pop up. Maybe we're doing it subconsciously or not, but definitely didn't consider the theme today, which is kind of this like
that's part of the
spiritual ancestry thing. This lineage topic. This spanning generations and how the actions of previous generations affect the future, and all wrapped up with elitism and the sort of power hierarchy of the classes. Now, this really struck me. At first glance, this might sound boring to people, but lock in with me. I think it's really a fascinating display by the mainstream. This is coming from The Atlantic, no less, which, if you listen to the show, the relationship we have with The Atlantic. It is a unique outlet who sometimes they say the quiet part out loud. Maybe they realize it, maybe they don't realize it, that they are sort of confirming what we all really feel in our hearts. So this is coming from The Atlantic, the headline, "The Awfulness of Elite Hypocrisy on Marriage." I mean, strong words. They're just coming right out and saying it. The awfulness of elite hypocrisy. I mean, even that phrase, elite hypocrisy.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Aren't they the elite? Aren't you the elite, Atlantic? What are you talking about?
That is not a phrase that's usually uttered by the mainstream media. They are there to protect the elites explicitly. That is their purpose. The awfulness of the elite hypocrisy in marriage. Quote, "Is it morally wrong to have a baby outside of marriage?" End quote. No, is the answer I received from about 2/3 of my sociology of family class at the University of Virginia last spring. When I put that question to them in an anonymous online poll, the class of approximately 200 students was diverse geographically, racially, and ethnically. But on questions like this one, asking whether society should promote or value one type of family structure over another, the students I teach at UVA generally say it shouldn't. So painting this picture, UVA, this is an elite university, University of Virginia. I mean, again, speaking of sort of connections to the Civil War and that kind of stuff, coming from the same place. So we're talking about elite kids at an elite university who otherwise are geographically, racially, and ethnically diverse.
Right.
200
they
of
don't
them.
mention the part that, well, I guess it's implied that they're elite.
Yeah. And she straight up says it here in a second. Yet, so asking like, hey, asking about family structure, there's family structure, mother, father, kids, there's whatever. This is a big part of the culture war right now is, hey, you don't have to have a man and a woman and children. You can have 3 dads, and there's all the polyamory stuff and the family units, and not getting married, but living in a commune, and everybody raising everybody's kids. Now, getting divorced is obviously a big part of this. The general diversity of family structure is what this is about. Mm-hmm. And when questioned, obviously, these students are saying, no, your family structure, one type of family structure over another, that doesn't mean anything. Do it however you want. Yet, when I ask these same students, who are almost all unmarried, quote, do you personally plan to finish your education, work full-time, marry, and then have children? 97% said yes. And when I ask, quote, if you come home at Thanksgiving and told your parents you or your girlfriend were having a baby, would your parents freak out? 99% said yes. So these are families, these are elites who are saying, no, have babies whenever you want, don't have babies, get married, don't get married, live your life. It's all the same. It's all good. It won't mean anything to you. 99% of them are expressing this sort of conservative, traditional version of family structure. In one sense, these answers are unsurprising. The great majority of my students, about 80%, report hailing from an intact family with married parents. My class at UVA is not exceptional in this regard. 73% of students at elite colleges and universities nationally were born to married parents and have since stayed married, versus 51% of high school seniors across the country. So this particular group, more than any other group, represents traditional family values. Yeah. At the same time, a majority of my students are liberal or progressive on many social issues. They are, at minimum, non-judgmental about lifestyles unlike their own. But there's a problem with this disjunction between my students' public family ethic and their own private family orientation, a disjunction I see regularly in elite circles. Voluminous research shows that being born into a married, stable household confers enormous benefit on children, whether the parents are rich or poor.
Is
the
this
question,
Ben Shapiro? What is this?
Yeah, I know,
like
right? Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, you can watch it.
Shows. Yeah.
And this goes back to what I've been yelling about for a few episodes now, which is these these big personalities online, alt personalities, believers or non-believers, whatever, but the real influential personalities online right now, they at least are encouraging, supportive, and honestly sometimes sort of admire Christian principles, traditional principles. They think the principles are the obvious, conservative values are the obvious way forward in the world that we live. Let's see here. Where was I? Voluminous research shows that being born into a married, stable household confers enormous benefits on children, whether the parents are rich or poor. The question I put to my students about their life plans involves a variant of what social scientists call the success sequence. Research clearly shows that taking 3 steps: 1, getting at least a high school degree; 2, working full-time in your 20s. Sorry, Gen Z. And 3, marrying before you have children, dramatically increases your odds of reaching the middle class or higher and minimizes the chances of your children growing up in poverty. So again, these sort of, in the mind of the average Atlantic reader, these offensively conservative values, getting an education, working full-time in your 20s, and then marrying before you have children, dramatically increases your odds of, achieving some version of the American dream.
Middle class,
And yet many elites today, all right, let's give it to them, Atlantic. Many elites today, professors, journalists, educators, and other culture shapers, publicly discount or deny the importance of marriage, the 2-parent family, and the value of doing all that you can to, quote, stay together for the sake of the children, even as they privately value every one of these things. On family matters, they on family matters, they talk left, but walk right.
Whoa.
An unusual form, I know, an unusual form of hypocrisy that, however well-intended, contributes to American inequality, increases misery, and borders on the immoral.
Oh my gosh, Atlantic.
I know.
Going on?
Calling out the elites who we've been screaming about forever, a decade or more, that they are saying one thing, telling society to live one way and living the opposite themselves. And this has been obvious to anyone paying attention, and yet the majority of people, especially liberals and progressives, do not look at the actions of their elites. They listen to the words, but don't observe the actions, which is the most frustrating part about them.
Especially those dinks out there, man.
Double income, what is it? No kids.
Yep,
yeah.
Double income, no kids. DINK.
Now, I'm going to skip this part, but it tells a story about some guy named Rob who came from a poor family, a broken family, made it into an elite university, and how all of his elite peers would say to his face, like, oh, wow, that's so great. Yeah, family is overrated. Traditional values are overrated. Who needs them? Look at you. You did it. And yet he was literally the only one. Every single one of his classmates was talking left, but walking right. This sort of virtue signaling thing. Whenever the idea that family structure could affect life prospects came up in any way, so coming up in conversation, family structure, does that affect your life or anything? Quote, there was always an effort to bring it back to poverty, he said. Most of his fellow students, quote, retreated into ideas like, we just need to give people more money or economic opportunities. These responses, Henderson believes, were driven partly by the notion that family diversity, the idea that all family forms are equally valid and valuable for kids, is a mark of moral progress in society. The phenomenon of people in society's upper strata talking left and walking right is especially easy to spot at elite universities, but it extends well beyond university culture. Then they talk about a survey they did in California, and surprise, surprise, they found the exact same thing. Most educated Californians are most likely to endorse family diversity, meaning it's not just about a man and a woman and a kid. And of course, 85% of college-educated Californians are like, yeah, whatever family you got, it's perfect. It makes no difference in your success. But those same college-educated Californians were like 80% married, kids, did the sequence of success. So they're living one way but talking another. College-educated elites have outsized power, and this is where this author really is hitting it home. College-educated elites have outsized power over American culture and politics, and on matters of family, they are abdicating it. They typically don't preach what they practice, despite the megaphones they hold in traditional and social media and elsewhere. Sometimes they preach the opposite, celebrating practices they privately shun. More often, they are simply silent and do very little politically or culturally to strengthen the foundations of marriage for Americans outside of their own privileged circles. As a nation, we have not been shy historically about advocating for certain behaviors that typically lead to better lives for individuals and fewer problems for society. This kind of plugs into the difference we were talking about between the socialism and what's the name of it? Distributism. Yeah. It's distributism is a very conservative version, and yet elites are advocating for sort of the leftist version, which is free money, free fiat currency. Yeah. Now, listen to this. Targeted educational campaigns in schools and culture have brought down the rates of teen pregnancy and cigarette smoking, for instance, but when it comes to marriage before children or the success sequence more broadly, nothing comparable has been done at a national scale. You don't say. People aren't learning the actual roadmap to success in school. Not a surprise. Social media, meanwhile, tends to send bad signals to kids and young adults. The dopamine-driven ethos that infuses much of TikTok and Instagram enriches the executives at Sequoia Capital and Meta, but provides little support for anything but living for the moment, and undercuts the values and behaviors needed to sustain long-term love, not to mention marriage. Traditional media oscillate between occasionally acknowledging the benefits of marriage and frequently praising the alternatives to it. As David Leonhardt, a columnist at the New York Times, observed, quote, "I think that my half of the political spectrum, the left half, too often dismisses the importance of family structure." So you get it. And they talk about the sort of tax incentives, the penalties for marriage, the bureaucracy. Of course, they talk about programs like food stamps and welfare, which are specifically designed to keep parents apart. This is a huge problem in the black community, is that, in order to get on welfare, you cannot have a man in the house. And so you are paying lower class individuals to stay unmarried. The government is paying to sabotage the futures of entire generations of Americans, which, of course, in our circles, we know this. We've been talking about it. It is a literal conspiracy. There is a conspiring to keep children out of two-parent households. It is advocated by the government to have single mothers. And in this article, they admit the single mother homes having big problems. The kids stay poor. The kids go to jail. This is a disaster. And they go, let me scroll down just a little bit. Sorry, I don't want to get too in the weeds, but it's a great article. I highly suggest y'all go through it. Remember, get on our newsletter at canarycry.party, and you can get the show notes. You get links to all this stuff. Highly recommend reading through this article. Then they talk about, there's literally talk about putting this success sequence, meaning get educated, work full-time, get married, have kids. They're talking about putting this in public schools, making this curriculum in public schools. Now, of course, they are not going to do this. This is not going to happen. Culture, wokeness, the government, everything. Nobody wants to teach success to the children. But the fact that The Atlantic is publishing these programs saying we could entirely change an entire generation of Americans, we could lift the country out of its problems if only we could teach kids to get married before having children, which should not be as mind-blowing as it is to read. It should not be a revolutionary idea. But the idea of teachers in California teaching the children, get married before you have children, is so offensive to the liberal progressive mind. It will absolutely never happen, and therefore purposefully sabotaging entire generations of kids to stay poor forever. And of course, that's what is not said in this article, but is implied. It is received by anybody with a brain, is that the logical layout of this article is implying that the elites want to keep the poor poor. They don't want them succeeding in life. They want to keep parents apart. They want to keep children hooked on social media, pleasing themselves, instant gratification, no long-term vision, no roadmap to success, and that is what is killing our kids today. Ask any of these Gen Zs. Look at any movement culturally in the Gen Alpha and Gen Z, is they don't have an effective roadmap to success. The American dream is dead because they don't know how to get there. And implying to teach marriage before children in school is almost impossibility, but that would be what could solve or at least greatly improve the lives of millions of Americans. It is saying the quiet part out loud that the elites do not want it to happen. They will lie. They will lie and say that every family structure is valid and your family structure has nothing to do with your success, and yet live a fairly pious conservative life while lying to everybody to their faces.
Yeah, and this has been the discrepancy and the hypocrisy has been pointed out for a while. But
it's been right in our faces. It's incredible.
I am a little suspicious. Because traditionally, mainstream media is focused on a left-right type of divide, a left-right paradigm. And this article seems to acknowledge a more vertical type of paradigm, you know, an elite and or elite class, lower class, and seeing the conversation in that context. But it says here, more can still be done and arguably should be done. This is towards the end of the article. And they're talking about encouraging marriage financially. And it says the Department of Defense, for instance, provides particularly generous benefits for married service members. Marriage in the military is a pathway to a bigger housing allowance, better health care for your partner, and any children you have, and other benefits. The military does not provide these benefits to cohabiting couples, which sets it apart from the more laissez-faire approach practiced by many other federal agencies serving families. But the same incentive could be provided simply by giving bigger benefits of various sorts, including a more generous child tax credit to people who marry without reducing benefits of those who don't. We should not underestimate the power of incentives like these. Certainly, they have helped foster a more marriage-friendly culture in the military. Almost 20 years ago, they talk about this, sociologist Jennifer Lundquist found that working class and African-American members of the military married at much higher rates than their peers in the civilian world, in part because of these benefits. My own updated analysis of the General Social Survey indicates that this pattern continues today. So, interesting that they're kind of like, yeah, you know, you need to do this, but you know what the best way to do it is join the military. Make it more easy.
I mean, yeah, you're almost there. I mean, that is the punchline. The punchline is they know how to succeed in this.
Right.
They know how the Department of Defense has the programs. They're running the programs currently to encourage military members to get married and be successful and have, you know, because you need your military to have stable family lives. It's very important to have your warriors have a supportive family life. And the Department of Defense knows this. And so they invest highly in making sure that their military members have the incentives to follow the path to success, to get married before having children, to stay married, to work things out, to not just follow instant gratification at every turn. The Department of Defense, the people who have the lasers and the drones and every resource at their disposal, the fact that they are investing the billions of dollars to encourage their people to have stable family lives shows that the system itself, the beast system, the American government knows the benefits of this success roadmap, and yet they want to destabilize the civilian population by encouraging the exact opposite. Destabilize the civilian population, stabilize the military population, proven track record, proven resource management. It is the only option, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, and it is the only one that I can possibly land on, is that they are purposefully destabilizing, sabotaging the lower classes, of course for power, of course for division, of course to keep the citizenry divided and fighting and all these things, keep them in constant peril, both financially and emotionally and familially and everything, while doing everything they can to stabilize the fighting force, to enforce the structure above them. I mean, it truly is, if this is not sinking into somebody listening, just how devious and diabolical this is, and all in the name of wokeness and progress and everything, sabotaging people with this idea that whatever they want to do doesn't make any difference. You're either going to succeed or you're not, and your family has nothing to do with it. So just go nuts, kids. Is, I mean, truly one of the most sort of spiritually devastating systems that we have in this country.
Yeah. Well, it taps into what we were talking about earlier, and what I mentioned earlier about rolling out the crazy, institutionalizing it in sort of a fascistic, forceful way, and push it into culture, and then create the counterculture movement. The military part is interesting to me because it's almost like you, the article doesn't do this, but it implies a sort of, well, either we go with sort of what they're saying, and if we implement that, it looks like not a good idea, or we go with the military route. Like, we want everyone to become, you know, part of this military operation. that'll and I get where you're coming from with.
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
the tactics. But
that would imply, you're right. It would imply, hey, join the military system where you can be rewarded if you want, you know, a family, if you want to find love, if you want the traditional thing, then there's definitely an incentive to join the system, join the military.
Yeah. Well, it feels like there's a nuanced or narrow middle, or maybe more leaning towards what the
it's called conservative values.
Oh,
it's called,
okay. Yeah, I thought we were talking about these hypocrites. But
yes, hypocrisy of the elites on marriage. Incredible.
Yeah.
Thank
well,
you,
very interesting, nonetheless. And yeah, I do think this is a shift in at least the mainstream to at least acknowledge the vertical struggle.
Yeah, the failure.
And it is suspicious though. Why would they do that? Maybe it's because it is sort of tanking, and maybe it's kind of a lost cause. I mean, they're still going to do it. You know, the apparatus will continue to roll forward for a while. It will be a while before it really dies.
And it's all wrapped up in eugenics. It's all wrapped up in immigration. It's all I mean, everything revolves about this problem. The depopulation, the everything is wrapped up in this strategy being deployed by the government. Like, it's an all-encompassing issue. And surprise, surprise, the very basic conservative values of getting married before having children is like the one thing you could incentivize to save the world, and yet it's like the most attacked value in the country.
It's only incentivized in, well, not only, I should say, but it's as the article highlighted, incentivized in the context of joining the military, which I think is interesting.
Or if you're already an elite. I mean, see what the elites are doing. Watch what they do, not what they say. And if you're, you know, a gov-loving liquor, you know, woke, progressive Biden bro, then look at what they do. They're all getting married, staying married, having children, finding success. You don't need to go, you know, find your polycule at the drag show to find happiness.
Well, it depends on the level of elite, too. I mean, maybe the whole thing with marriage with the elite is like, no, don't just start having children, okay? Wait till Shamyaze comes down the mountain and bow before Shamyaze. You are chosen to carry the Messiah daughter. Wait, don't get married outside of, or no, don't have children outside of marriage. You got to wait till we, you know, call down the watchers.
This is, yeah, very specific group of people who are following what you're saying, Gons, and that's good. That's what this show is about.
It's Genesis 6, people. Go read Genesis 6.
The Nephilim don't want you to get married.
Yeah, no, they want the low IQ folk to not get married, but the high IQ people, just make sure you're not having babies outside of their rules there.
The sort of all-encompassing ubiquity of this concept, not just the specifics of the bureaucracy and the incentives and the military and the this and the that and the food stamps, not just the specifics, but the fact that this matter could possibly be the very most important matter in saving the country really shows that it is an issue of principalities and powers. It's a spiritual issue. And we know here on this show, and if y'all have a brain and a heart in your chest, that it's the spiritual side of this that is really the only answer. And it's interesting because there's like little slivers of light breaking through the darkness, this Atlantic article being one of them, in a place that you would never, ever think would shine through. The Atlantic. This author, Brad Wilcox, is just this little sliver of light letting in the sort of secret knowledge of family structure values into the abyss, the moral abyss of the Atlantic. It's great.
Yeah.
All right. Did we get any voice messages?
I don't think we had. Oh, did we do them last week? I don't remember if we did all. I think we did. Yeah. We did the Sentinel Telegram.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Well, let me just set it up and then...
While you look real quick, I will mention we have a Telegram channel thanks to the Sentinel. The Sentinel started it. So if you have Telegram, I think it's called CCNT Community or something.
I think it's Canary Cry Community, all one word. I think there is a...
Here's the link. I'm gonna pop the link into the chat for everybody. Oh my gosh, nuts. I forgot to put it in the email again. What am I thinking? All right, well, I'll put it in the email again, but I know we have a number of Telegrammers out there, and, we got Canarians on the Telegram now. It hasn't traditionally been my personal place of communication.
It's all Russian misinformation there, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Where did it go? I had the link somewhere. Oh,
Real quick here.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
You can go to any page on canarycrynewstalk.com and you scroll all the way to the right of the page or the bottom. Usually it's on the right. You'll see a green tab. If you click on that, it'll open a little window that allows you to record a audio message through your device of up to 90 seconds. You can leave a pre-show prayer. You can leave a short private message to us. If it's private, let us know it's private right at the top. What else can you do? You can do all kinds of stuff. You can do a little boots on the ground report. You can do a meetup report. We invite all cameos from any kind of celebrity, politicians, athletes, deceased mafia, whatever you are.
You
boots
can
on the ground.
repent for past
You can
wrongs.
repent.
for
Yeah,
your
yeah.
community. That's a good way to do it.
Yes, if you want to have a message out to the community, you can do that. And today, I don't think we have any messages, but I just wanted to let people know that is one way. A pre-show prayer as well is something that we also like to have right before we go live. So there you go. And let's spend some time.
I'm tweeting out the Telegram link on the Canary Cry Twitter, just in case anybody wants it.
Great. Can we let's thank some producers of their treasure, and then we will do the talent right after.
Let's do it.
We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
That's right. Value for value, baby. No money from people who shouldn't be giving us money. Because when they give us money, it's for their benefit, not for your benefit. Selling your trust and attention that you give to us sounds just as demoralizing as any number of things going on these days. So just know, when you're listening to this show, we are not monetizing your mind. We're not selling your data. We're not selling your attention. And we never will. But just remember, this is a team effort. This is a family effort. This is a family structure here at the show, and that's the only way to succeed. Where if you get any value in any form and you want to continue getting the value, remember, the value for value model is not paying us back for value you've received, because that wouldn't be free. You get it for free, but you put value back in to continue the value being created, for not just for you, but for everybody. Everybody who produces the show is producing the show for everybody who listens. And so as long as people are participating in whatever way they can, whenever they can, we will survive. And this election year is going to be the test of a lifetime. Of course, there's canarycry.tube, where you can directly sign up to help us take back our streaming sovereignty. It is a new age in the Canary Cry universe, where we're not just a user of a platform, but we will be creating our future-proof infrastructure for, again, all Canarians around the world.
We will launch a new age.
Canarycry.tube. Cancel your Netflix. Sign up there. And we had a bunch of people come through the canarycry.tube. So we made progress over the weekend on our goal here. We're about 15% complete on the goal.
Okay. Still 15, huh? Your voice is cracking.
Well, it was 10.
It's hurting you.
I know. Well, it is. It's probably because I'm terrified of setting a public goal and not reaching it. But look, we stepped out in faith. We did the math. We know what we need. We know what it will take to continue. We made a public goal, which is also very scary always. And, it's not that I'm like embarrassed if we don't reach the goal. I just fear for our future if we don't reach the goal. That's the part. But we had some people come in, and I want to thank them right now. Ready?
Okay, let's do it.
Starting with producer Andy B.
Andy B, thank you very much.
Came in with a one-time producership at canarycry.tube. Thank you, helping us reach that goal. He has a little note here that says, "Hello, Canarium. I'm Andy, or Ando. I'm Ando, and I need to be demooched. Demooch the man."
Demooch. Oh, I was not prepared for that.
Neither was
should have
I.
warned me that there was a demooching happening here. Let's see. Demoocher. Where are you,
Ando. Ando.
There.
Ando the demooched.
Demooch. Ah! There it is.
That's big. That's cool. To be demooched, specifically helping us reach the goal for this. That's a big deal. I recommend, if anybody's out there thinking about demooching over at canarycry.tube is a special way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm Ando, and I need to be demooched. You done got it. Tomorrow is my birthday, February 15th. Hey, we got a birthday boy.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ando. He says, I'm 44. I also have a podcast, but mostly hang out on the WTF forum. Warning, bad words. Find me on Catchers at Burn Babylon Burn. Love y'all.
All right.
Catchers. Find me on Catchers. He must mean podcatchers. These kids these days and their slang. Okay, Burn Babylon Burn. Check out the podcast, folks.
Cool.
That's Ando. He just got demooched, so go check him out.
Thank you very much, Ando.
Bad words, though. Watch out.
Yeah.
Bad words. Thank you for the warning. Thanks, Ando. Next up, we've got producer Troy J.
Troy J. Thank you very much.
Yep. Also came in over at canarycry.tube. Nice round number. Appreciate that.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, I thought I lost you. But yeah, there you go. That's it. No.
Okay.
We also had the one, the only Sir Darren, Knight of the Hungry Panda, come in for 3333 over at canarycry.tube.
Sir Darren. Thank you, Sir Darren.
That's right. And then we also had... We got to bring up the roundtable, Gons, because we have Spears Desert came in. And I'm almost 100% positive we just knighted Spears Desert.
Sir Spears Desert. Oh, no. Sir Spears Knight of the Desert. Yes.
There it is.
Episode 683. There you go.
Thank you. Sir Spears Knight of the Desert came in for 3333.
Hey, 33.
Did you happen to see an email from him or anything? I didn't see a note.
I did not.
Okay. Well... I'm going to, in the background, open up the Proton Mail because I realize I forgot to check that today. And some people who are conscientious about their internet security actually use our Proton Mail to send us messages because, in theory, that is what we stand for, and we need to be better at checking that email account. Did you check it today, Gons?
Actually, I think I did in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah,
and you
it's
didn't
part
see
of
anything
the
from
process.
Spears
I don't think I saw anything, but I can double check.
Okay.
It may
No
have
worries.
been something that I missed if I did.
Thank you very much, Sir Spears, Night of the Desert. Glad to have you on the list. Next up, we have producer Kara.
Thank you, Kara.
Yeah, Kara came in at canarycry.tube and signed up for the monthly.
Oh,
so
wow.
there we go. That's what we need. That's going to be ongoing costs for canarycry.tube. We're going to have to pay for stuff on a monthly basis. And those who cancel their Netflix and join up on a monthly basis are helping us perpetuate the project. Thank you, producer Kara.
Yep, thank you.
We got producer KDS also came in over at the tube. Nice round number.
KDS.
CanaryCry.tube. You know, the horrific thing is the more I talk about CanaryCry.tube, the more I am desensitized to its abominative URL. Thank you, KDS.
That's how YouTube did it. YouTube, I remember when it sounded weird. YouTube, but yeah, everyone's there now.
Next up, we got producer Elio comes in for 1111.
Elio, 1111.
And Elio's on a 3-episode streak, heating up.
He's heating up.
Thank you,
and little note, Elio says love from England.
Hey,
England. Okay,
I was
that's
talking
fun.
about the UK recently about something. I forget what it was.
There's a lot of stuff going on over there right
There's
now.
a lot of stuff going on in UK,
we haven't covered it, but it's crazy. Maybe now that I know one of our producers is from England, we'll bring some England news, UK news. Rishi, what's his name? Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister. He got called out by a Scottish guy publicly.
I saw that.
Did you see that? That was pretty cool. The vaccine injured.
He tried to play it off, but man.
Yeah.
It's one of those Stanford Cardinals there.
In the words of American mainstream media about Trump, we can say, Rishi Sunak, the walls are closing in.
Yeah.
Next up, we got producer Nicholas P. came in on the tube. Nice round number. Thank you.
Nicholas P. Thank you.
Next up, we got producer Brandon W.
Brandon W. Thank you.
1111 a month for the tube.
1111.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Brandon. And then we have Heather M. Heather M. came in at $9.77 a month over at the tube. CanaryCry.tube.
Thank you, Heather.
Women rule.
I think there was a couple other women there. I did not give the women credit.
No, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Great showing. Thank you very much. I'm again glad coming in at CanaryCry.tube. That means a lot to us. That fund is being put directly towards something, so I'm glad that people are going in there and doing that. I don't know. That's it. That's all of our producers in the amount of $7.70 or more. That entitles them to have a note read on the show. We got, of course, our streakers here at the end. I'm going to run through them. Thank you very much, our streakers. Coming in under the $7.77 amount, which gets them an acknowledgement. Starting with Sir Tristan, Night of the Garden, 9 episodes in a row.
Thank you. Oh, 9 episodes. That is... Oh, he's lit.
You're lit,
Where'd
fan.
you find this?
Hey, you lit now.
Thank you very much. Lit Sir Tristan, Night of the Garden. We got Doctor Who Done Dat, 60 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Doctor Who Done That.
We got Mrs. Tinfoil Hatman, 21 gun salute.
Hey.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, 21st century.
Then we have...
days.
Yeah, there you go. Sir Moore of Night of the Burning Chariots. This is his 333rd episode in a row.
Special.
Big deal.
Special.
Big deal.
Thank you,
Thank
Sir
you
Morph.
very much, Sir Morph. We got Veronica D, 365 in a row.
Thank you, Veronica D.
Dame Gale, 361.
Thank you, Dame Gale.
Just to mention, Dame Gale said check the P.O. box.
Oh,
so
okay, I
get a
will.
chance.
Oh, by the way, I think we got the big box from Sir Marty K.
Oh, great.
And I still got to go through it. It's a little overwhelming there, Sir Marty K. I opened it and whoa.
It's a big box.
A lot of
Big
stuff.
box.
Yeah, a lot of stuff in there. All wrapped nicely, though. Is very. I got to go through it all. But yes, thank you. I got that in the mail. So I will
Glad
look
it made
for something from Dame Gale.
Wunderbar. Thank you, Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 390 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
Sir Scott, Sir Casey, the Shield Knight, 402 in a row.
Sir Casey, the Shield Knight.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
And that's it. That's all of our financial producers for the day. Thank you guys so much for coming in, making it happen. Okay, I'm over at the Canary Cry Telegram channel. It looks like there's only 8 members. We got to get everybody in there. Everybody go.
I got to
go.
figure out how to get in there.
I did put the link at canarycry.party, which we need to start pitching again.
Yeah.
Do you happen to have the canarycry.party jingle sitting there in front of you?
It's not
calling to
sitting there, but I can find
waving,
it.
Winking at
We
you.
used to play it all the time.
Yeah, once you find it while I describe what it is, just in case there's anybody new, canarycry.party. It's just a giant list of our links. It's an easy way to find everything you want to find for Canary Cry. Of course, you can produce the show, join the newsletter, join the text message alert system, find all of our streaming platforms, find all the different programs, find Canary.tube. It's your one-stop shop for all your Canary Cry stuff. You can join the Discord there, everything. And now the link to the Telegram channel is over there at canarycry.party. And we have a wonderful jingle for it. I don't remember who made it, but it's very important that we play it once in a while because you gotta remember it forever. If you're ever lost, just look to the sky, look to see what side of the trees that the moss is growing on, look for the North Star, and go to canarycry.party to guide you home.
Mm-hmm. Yep, couldn't find it.
Oh,
Looking
nuts.
for it, can't find it. I appreciate your
next time.
filibustering,
Yeah.
but I think it was part of a bed anyway, wasn't it? Not a full jingle, but like a little thing, and then it goes into a.
It had a bed.
music.
Yeah, it had a bed for you to.
I'm trying to see. It should
stuff.
not be missing at this juncture, but you
Yeah,
know, you
that's
know how
okay.
goes.
Put
There's
it
so
on your
many
list.
jingles.
We'll try to find it.
Yeah, I'll have it ready next time.
Okay, there you go. That's all of our financial producers. Thank you all so much. Go to canarycry.support to learn more.
Yep, and if you are not going to help us produce with your treasure, you can also do so with your talent and your time. I'm going to thank some producers for their talent today with some... Actually, it's art, but, you know, it's all talent.
Actually.
What?
Audio production.
One arc, please.
I timed that one a little bit better this time. It's been kind of off the last couple times I played those two jingles together. Actually, I don't think we have any audio producers today. I don't think, unless I missed something last time. But we do have a piece of art from Sir Dove, Knight of Rusbeltia.
One art piece from Dove.
And Sir Dove also has a note to accompany this piece of art, and he says, let me find it here. Where is it? Oh, peace. For today's, nope, that's not the note. Where is it? Wrong note. For this week's Bible artwork, I did an illustration for Jeremiah 2, verse 13. For my people have committed 2 evils. They have forsaken me, the foundation of living water, and hewed out cisterns for themselves, broken cisterns that hold no water. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins.
This is wonderful. In the background, we've got an image of some sort of dilapidated parking garage or something with a bunch of broken mugs, piles of hundreds of broken mugs on the ground. And then in the foreground, we've got a very Dove cistern, a sort of jar of clay, laying on the ground. He's looking very beleaguered. He's cracked in multiple places. He's trying to catch his breath. There's water all around him, and up above him, written in stone, broken, with some water dripping down there. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove.
So
and that's
cute.
it with all the art, I believe. And we have
Yeah, a little light.
A little light today.
Little
That's
light
okay.
today.
That's fine. Do we have microfiction? I'm trying to double check on that.
Yeah, we had one from Stefan S, I believe.
Okay,
Oops,
I'm
and
just
I
trying to make
just
sure.
closed the page.
Trying to make sure this wasn't one we already did.
Oh yeah, it came in on the 14th.
I think we did this one.
Which would have been last Wednesday.
Yeah. Did we do it last Wednesday? I forget now.
It's been
about
so
the
long.
truckers.
It's been so long.
The
I
Buckies.
don't remember reading this one. So
All right, well, let's just do it then. Okay, microfiction. Here we go.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
This one is from Stefan S.
An awkward silence fell across the diner's table. The Freedom Convoy trucker sat motionless after his casual question. What's a Bucky's? Agent Duke Street realized his cover was blown. Time to backpedal. Classic reference to me not knowing what a Bucky's is. And apparently also the feds who had infiltrated the Freedom or the Take Back Our Border convoy. Yeah, if you're a Fed, you're joining the convoy. You got to know what Bucky's is. Let me tell you what.
By the way, there's a whole trucker thing happening with New York right now. New York may be completely out of food by the end of the week.
I heard about this. Do you know the details? I didn't get a chance to look
really
into it.
I haven't looked too deeply, but
from what I heard, it's not even confirmed that it's real. That it might just be like a practical joke.
Oh boy,
wouldn't they love me to think it's a joke? You know.
Well,
who knows? The psyop goes both ways.
Funny joke. You guys don't have any food. Ha ha. You guys don't have anything.
I mean, there's a significant portion of the country that would take a little bit of pleasure from New York being cut off from the supply chain.
Wow. Thank you, Stefan S. And I believe Jolmes has a new set of stuff as well. Okay, here we go.
I got to hear the Space Odyssey continues, folks.
All right, here we go. Jolmes.
Sapphire waves stroke gently against the buoyant inflatables. In their wake, lines of crystal-like fragments followed foam like suds surround the quiet ship, cooling its rainbow-oxidized frames. In the distance loom jagged rocks, subtly sheened with translucent gray and iridescent crevices, like charred icebergs of coal. Spaceship has crashed. The spaceship is now floating with some seems emergency buoyancy inflatables, and we'll see what happens to our hero next on this alien world of shimmering iridescent icebergs of coal. Thank you very much, Jones.
Thank you, Jones. And that's it for producers coming with their talent. We appreciate you helping us shape the culture behind the community.
Love it. All right. What do you got for... Oh, yeah, by the way, you can, if you got art you want to send to the show, go to canarycry.art. You can upload the art there. We'll feature it on the show. If you have any articles you'd like us to consider for the show, you can go to canarycry.report. Send us those articles there. And, of course, as always, there's canarycry.support.
All right. The abyss is opening. And also, you youngins, pay attention. IEEE Spectrum headline: CERN's future collider would be an engineer's dream job. Dun, 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 dun,
I love how they're starting the hiring process soon. They're starting it early.
Yeah, you'll see. You'll see how this matters in the context of decades, not just years.
I have to do this, Gons. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt, but I'm glad it started beforehand. There's been somebody in the Rumble chat who throughout the entire show, this might be somebody else. Okay, no, I don't want to mix anybody up. Okay. But somebody didn't get the message that if they have hate mail, they need to go to canarycrimenewstalk.com and you need to look for the green tab.
Oh, yeah,
you need to
Leave us a
click on
voice
the green
message.
tab, and whatever you have to say, you can say it on the voice message, because it only counts as something worth saying if you can listen to yourself say it, your voice, your breath, the breath that God gave you.
Say it with your chest.
If you say it and it is heard by thousands of people on the internet, that's the only way to do this.
Oh, I think I see it there. Yeah, you know, well, there's folks that don't, fully know things.
I think it's the classic. Basil, I wouldn't give you a dime. I like how it's me. Why is it me? They're gonna give you a dime, Gons?
Hey,
you're nothing but a beggar. Get a real job. Is this my?
Is this
grandpa?
our old boss?
What is this? Yeah, is this my
like our old
employer?
boss. This is not kingdom work.
Hey, fun, by the way, as far as the job thing goes.
Yeah.
I just had maybe 6 tons of dirt. Free dirt, by the way. There comes a certain time in life when you get excited about free dirt. And I got some free dirt delivered by somebody who had too much dirt on their hands. And this spring's project is going to be doing a little potato farm. I'm going to do some potato farming.
Oh, boy. Hey, that's how you get my family to come to your farm and
Are they
live on your
potato
farm.
fans? They're potato fans?
Wife has Irish blood. She claims that
Okay.
she cannot deny, if I serve potatoes, she just cannot deny them. So.
Okay. Well, I'm open to suggestions. I need to get a real job because I'm a beggar, everybody. So if anybody has any tips on growing potatoes, because this is my new job in solidarity with the farmers around the world, I'm going to farm these potatoes by hand, no robots involved. I'm thinking of doing a quadrant, get some regular potatoes, get some sweet potatoes, get some yams, get some red potatoes, and just see what I can do. I'm trying to start with the most hardy thing possible because it has been proven I am an awful gardener, but I'm thinking maybe I'm more, my temperament, my skill set is more on the farming side. So get ready, folks. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to start selling potatoes on the internet if things don't go well this year.
Potato or emu egg? You can do like a little guessing game with
Oh my gosh, I had such a good idea about something, but I'll save it for later.
Okay.
The emus are laying, baby, and I cannot believe I forgot to grab an egg and bring it onto the show today.
yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
We got the what is it? I'm trying to say the rocket is taking off, but the eagle has landed.
What?
The egg has landed. The egg has landed. We've got eggs, baby.
Okay.
We've got the eggs.
The emus have landed. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's move on. We're talking about CERN. What are we doing?
CERN's Future Collider would be an engineer's dream job. Okay. All right, here we go. Earlier this month, CERN released a preliminary vision of a proposed particle accelerator that, as currently envisioned, would be one of the grandest science facilities ever constructed. The behemoth Future Circular Collider, the FCC. Which should not be mistaken for the, what is it, the federal, what does FCC stand for?
Federal,
I want to say Communications Commission?
Communications Commission, yes.
Okay, Not that FCC, but funny that it's the same.
So the official name is not the Behemoth Collider?
Maybe they'll go with it later. That's for us. That's for us
way
to do.
Cooler.
They gave us the esoteric title, which is Behemoth Collider.
It's a way better name.
Yeah. Last time CERN took on a project of FCC's magnitude, the decade was the 1980s. And the object was a large electron-positron collider, LEP, sometimes described as Europe's largest civil engineering undertaking to that time. In the 21st century, engineers retrofitted LEP's tunnel into today's Large Hadron Collider, LHC, by smashing atomic nuclei or subatomic particles together at near light speed. Accelerators like LHC have helped dramatically push the boundaries of physics and technology. And, just to mention, I always like to bring up when we talk about CERN and building larger hadron colliders and all this kind of stuff, that I had covered the Desertron that was supposed to be built in Texas, which I think is interesting how Elon has redone all his stuff from, I think SpaceX. Was it SpaceX or Tesla?
Everything.
One of his
He's
companies.
moving everything there.
He's moving everything off Delaware and incorporating it in Texas.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Well,
Maybe,
you want to be as close to the interdimensional portal as possible. That's the
gonna
safest
say,
place to be.
With his boring company, he can resurrect the Desertron project, and say, hey, I'm going to help science. We're going to do the goodly science, not this Fauci science.
And why not?
Put a microchip in your brain. Building LHC was certainly a supermassive undertaking, but nothing next to the challenges that building the FCC may bring. Quote, what is changing with FCC is that we have to build new infrastructure in places that are not on CERN land, said Jean-Paul Burnett, a CERN electrical engineer. Why is an electrical engineer making comments about, I don't know. But despite FCC's scale and cost, it is an evolution of existing technology. And I thought that was interesting as well, that they talk about how it's an evolution of existing technology as opposed to what? Not existing technology that's better?
I guess every technology is an evolution of existing technology.
Yeah,
that's how technology works.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Unless there's something they're not telling us, right?
Yeah, unless you get it straight from the aliens.
Yeah, it's a Tesla free energy. The planning and burrowing, detailed conceptual treatments of the gargantuan FCC date back to at least 2014, when the first portal opened. Over a decade since, engineers and scientists have pored over the proposals, trying to find a suitable alignment for a ring more than 3 times the LHC's length. And now, at last, they have their ring. A 91-kilometer near circle south of LHC's existing loop, and bejeweled with 8-axis shafts that link the tunnel with the surface above. Wow. Timothy Watson, a civil engineer at CERN, calls its design, quote, LHC on steroids. Very dramatic. Yeah. Quote, it's very similar in terms of its layout and the engineering input that will be needed to design it and construct it, he says, quote, but obviously it's much bigger, end quote. Indeed, focus on FCC's design rather than its sheer scale. The FCC's infrastructure might not look different from its antecedents. FCC's tunnel and access shafts are not significantly wider than LHC's. The most technically demanding builds will be the collider's caverns, where the tunnel blows out into larger spaces that hold particle detectors. Even then, Watson says FCC's caverns will likely be comparable to those that host LHC experiments like CMS and Atlas. That said, there remains a few critical challenging differences. For one, FCC's tunnel, averaging 200 meters beneath the surface, will be significantly deeper than LHC's, and indeed several times deeper than most underground metro systems. Okay. Why are we going deeper? We're just getting closer to the abyss, apparently. Closer to Hades there, or Tartarus. Additionally, FCC's proposed course will take builders through unfamiliar geological conditions. In particular, FCC will need to traverse bodies of water, namely Lake Geneva and the River Rhone, challenges of the sort that no prior CERN collider has done. I'm not an expert on constructing geographical monuments, but monoliths and other things, portals. But I would imagine it's fairly difficult to be burrowing underneath a lake and a river and not cause some kind of disturbance.
Not if Elon has something to say about it.
You just keep going deeper. Just go real deep.
I'm
doesn't
sure.
disturb it.
You know Elon, he always starts a company with a product, but really it's about something else. It's the product that is sort of consumer facing, but really it's meant to like build the company for a different purpose. Kind of like Tesla and SpaceX. SpaceX came out of Tesla. and the Boring Company, which is really his most boring company, it would make sense that, he's just building the digging apparati to, just make a giant Large Hadron Collider just all around the planet, if indeed it is globular.
Still, Watson is confident that existing construction technology, namely 8-tunnel boring machines, there it is, one for each 1/8 of the ring, will be up to the job. Quote, "We believe these are things that industry is more than capable of doing," he says. Then, of course, it gets into the sustaining of particle at near light speed, the chilly cryogenic and high-powered electromagnets that are necessary, all the sciencey words and the not terabytes, the, what is it, the telewatts? I forget. Terawatts. Today, CERN draws its electricity from a single 400 kilovolt link with the French grid. Plans call for 2 more such connections. This is where it starts getting interesting. It's like, okay, they're going to start connecting these things. I mean, they already are connected to the French grid.
Right.
And that's the next stage. This is why I think the Elon, Texas thing has something. There's something there. Because I feel like with the Tesla, what's his big factory called? I forget now. I'm blanking on all the Elon products. The, oh my gosh, his mega center or something. I forget what he called them.
Gigafactory.
Thank you. Yes. And Tesla really being an energy company, they're cars, but it's more so like an energy company. So just something to keep in mind here.
A grid company, the sort of Tesla grid going in across the country.
Walking before running. After CERN is projected to release more detailed plans next year, CERN's member countries will determine whether they want to fund the $17 billion first stage. But even if FCC gets the green light, the construction phase wouldn't begin for at least the better part of a decade.
Oh my gosh.
A decade, Basil. That's why we're talking to you young Canarians out there. Yeah. If you want to help close the portals and infiltrate the enemy.
Start now.
Become a physicist.
10 years, let's see. If you want to get a job right out of college, entry-level engineer job at CERN, at 21 or 22. Yeah, if you're like a 10 or 11-year-old right now, devote yourself to interdimensional portal technology, and you can get in. We can have a guy on the inside, kind of like we do at the Pfizer ad campaign production company.
Yeah,
that's the thing, folks.
And there you go. Maybe
network of canaries around the world, all sounding the alarm.
Yeah, there you go. So, watch out. The FCC is coming 3 times as large. Gonna dig some holes under rivers and lakes and stuff. But hey, don't worry. We're opening the portal for the gods.
Has your daughter shown an aptitude for particle physics, Gons, yet?
Not particularly, no. The son might. He's 3.
I want to do some testing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're not going to be hiring males. They need a protected class,
That's true. That's true.
Got to get the diversity in there.
Yeah, good
I mean, your kids are already in trouble for being Asian. That counts as white. That's going to be tough. But, All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. If you got any tips for potato growing, send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. But, of course, thank you to all of our producers, financial, talented, and otherwise. We have a group of producers that I would like to thank personally, and that group is called the Timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
That's right. They timestamp the show. Often they're doing it live, and those timestamps go into so much of our back-end processes. I would say that the timestampers, it's a thankless job, but it's really not, because I can't thank them enough. And so much of your individual experience with the show, folks, is predicated on the good work of these timestampers. And I want to thank the timestamper for episode 715, who is, Gons?
Morgan E.
Morgan E's on a roll lately. Thank you, Morgan E. My gosh, the faithfulness of the timestampers is incredible. Thank you to Jam for the links. Thank you to Clank for clanking. And other than that, share the show, folks. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Post it on your social media. But, you know, there's ways to share the show that I could not suggest to you. There is a whole world of possibilities that I am not even capable of comprehending. The complexity and the diversity of experience that each individual producer has. It is incalculable, the opportunities that one might have to share the show. Perhaps you are a 10-year-old child listening to this show in the car. First, you wanted to listen to Blippi or the Jonas Brothers or something. I don't know what 10-year-olds are listening to these days, but your weird
Jonas
dad
Brothers.
or your weird mom playing this weird podcast in the car, subjecting you to strange individuals talking about strange things, but then it started to grow on you, started to make sense, started to see the world around you moving in intricate ways, and it's a good time to start when you're young, folks, just like when you're young. It's a good time to start studying particle physics and quantum mechanics and planning your future ahead. Remember, follow the success pathway that the teachers at your school do not want you to know. That is, get an education. Start working full-time in your 20s at CERN or the other behemoth particle physics smasher. And then, of course, get married before having children. This is how you will succeed, my friends. And once you are gainfully employed, unlike these filthy, begging podcasters, once you're gainfully employed at the Larger Hadron Collider, make sure to crank it up to 11 and let your portal buddies know that Canary Cry News Doc is where it's at. Yeah, everybody has somebody in their life who needs to know. They have not quite caught on that the mainstream media does not have their best interests at heart. But here at Canary Cry, it's not just about guns. It's not just about myself. It's about all of us, thousands of people all around the world working in concert to make sure that there is a safe place for people to learn the truth about what they're being told. That's just one way you could do it. You don't have to do it that way, but if you do it, make sure to report back about what's coming through the portals, kids. But we call it rattling cages, and if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You just walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah, kids. Gons, you got any last words?
I didn't know it was President's Day. Is that true?
It is true. We're working on President's Day.
Oh, wow. Interesting. And also, 1811 Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia formed. So congratulations to the Grand Lodge. What is that, 100 and...
was that the Masons?
113 years? Yeah. It was
Wait.
13. There you go.
What
Boom.
year? What year?
1811.
1811. Good year. 1811, the Grand Lodge of Washington, D.C. That was today.
Today, yep.
Interesting how President's Day is the same day that the Masonic Lodge, Grand Lodge, opened in Washington, D.C.
Hey.
Coincidence? Probably not. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to stop by canarycry.tube to secure our streaming sovereignty, and make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Especially you people on Rumble.
Rumble.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. Circle back, but I'll have to circle back. I'm happy to circle back. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back on that one. Circle back with you. It's an interesting question, but we'll circle back.
Those that are wise, they shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever. Down Daniel, shut up the words and seal the blue, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Increase.
I got hairy legs that turn, that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down. I got hairy legs. You see what he recently said about he wants to see the economy crash this year? Soft spot the rioters. Sitting president. He was saying my thing, bless me, Father, for come on, man. Get about. He wants to eat it. Saying my thing, bless president. Come on, man. Economy, come on, man. Soft spot the rioters. I got hairy legs. You see what he recently said about he wants to see the economy crash this year? Soft spot the rioters. Sitting president. He was saying my thing, bless me, Father, for come on, man. I got hairy legs.
Onward, Christian soldier, time to take a stand. Upward, Christian soldier,
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Bye bye, bye bye. I'm out of here. Bye. Canary cry, Dr. Poe.